Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fight Night Rising. We are back after a few weeks and in a new year, 2021. We'll see how it goes. 'Cause we're off to a good start here, especially because we have some Fight Night Rising alongside me, Boopasaurus. How are you doing?
Um,
How's your holidays been?
it's been pretty good. I was banned from tequila over New Year, so that happened. Yesterday was a really long month, and then we're here today.
True.
So I'm actually really excited to get going on TFT and what I believe is going to be our last set four tournament of depending on when the set actually reaches the main game and gets off of
Yeah,
PBE. I think 11.2. So
maybe one
we're
more
wi-
week, but
yeah, we're
yeah.
winding down here, and so I'm really excited to see like where the meta has shifted. A lot of people have been playing PBE, so I'm very curious to see how many of these folks are coming in prepared for this particular set.
Definitely. And before we go too much more into depth, we do have a couple of quick channel announcements. This Twitch channel, Giant Slayer TV, will actually be rebranding to Giant Slayer TFT soon. So if you're here next week and you're like, oh, I can't find it in Giant Slayer TV, it's because it'll be Giant Slayer TFT soon at TM. There also will be a Teamfight talk show New Year special on Wednesday, the 13th at 6 p.m. PST. So make sure to check that out. I don't know if it's announced who's going to be on that yet or what's going on there, but be sure to check that out here. But yeah, those are just a couple quick channel announcements. But yeah, back into TFT, and I know I'm sure everyone's excited for what's on the PVE right now. What's on set 4.5, but we're still in set 4, and we got a list of wonderful competitors here for us tonight. Boopasaurus, why don't you go ahead and introduce all of them?
All right, we got Mr. Meeseeks, a little bit of a veteran here for Fight Night. We've got Allie, Stelfalador. Oh, I nailed that. Gangly, who is actually been creating some really awesome content recently. And then we've got Gofab, Infernix, Gunmay, the one and only Team IKEA Gunmay, and our returning champion from last year, last Kardax.
Yeah, last Kardax ended 2020 off with quite the performance. It was one of the closest fight nights that we have had last week in terms of where everything ended out. Like no one was really far below, no one was really far ahead. It was just really good competition. So I'm excited for this week as well. And of course, these players are going to be competing for their share of that rising prize pool. $100 first place, $50 for second, third and fourth 25. And narrowing it down even more, only the top three will be invited back for next week. Now, it was interesting. Last Cardax did win because of tiebreakers. Second,
Mhm.
actually, with the same amount of points was MrMeeSeeks, and Gunmay was just 1 point behind. So if that doesn't tell you the level of competition, how narrow it is for these competitors, I don't know what does. And man, I'm sure it's only going to be just as great tonight.
I think Mr. Meeseeks has been here maybe 3, 4 times at this point, and
Yeah, I believe so.
last year was by far the best he had played in a fight night, or they had played in a fight night. And that's really great to see when we have returning members come back. Wolfie, I think, is the best example of this.
True.
Loco Doco as well, and continue to be better every single time until you stop playing what works for you, right? So what I really liked about Last Cardax as well was the personality attached to
Oh
the
yeah.
win. The man likes to win. He likes to play the game, and that passion definitely comes through. And then you've got Gunmay, who unfortunately I saw on Twitter seems to be feeling a little bit under the weather, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be out of the game, because I know when it comes to TFT, Gunmay loves to win. And while Darius is back on set 4.5, we're going to have to get through this one first for Mr. Gunmay.
Definitely. As we open up the starting carousel here, the meta probably has shifted a little bit since the last time that we've had a Fight Night Rising here. So I guess just quickly go over the compositions that I think are going to be kind of like top, and I think the top two might be any variation of like Ash Comp or Jin with Dusk. I think those two are seemingly the top of the meta there right now. I think they're both like really flexible. The Ash comp more so than the Jin comp, as Jin you kind of want to be running that Dusk package in the late game. Maybe get a Dusk spat for a Kayn or Jin or something like that. But yeah, that's definitely a composition that I think we're going to be seeing today. Do you have any thoughts, Boop? Like, what have you been running recently? If your attention's not all been drawn to the PVE and stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, it's been a lot of PBE, but
Yeah.
one of the things that I was seeing, at least in the doldrums of where I'm playing, was a lot of Lulu. A lot of people seem to be having a lot of fun with Lulu
True.
recently. And so very strong. One of the stronger early games and is going to be part of that Ash comp. So
Yeah.
I've seen some chosen Lulus absolutely crush it recently. The other thing that I'm seeing is Vi as your main item carrier in some Warlord comps. I don't know if you saw on Reddit some dude did like a Super Smash Brothers edit
Oh, I've not.
that came to Vi. It's great. Everyone should go check it out. But had a couple Hex Tech Gunblades on, and every single punch was a Falcon Punch kill. And so while you're not going to finish the game with that, I've definitely been seeing a lot of people putting certain items on Vi as she can straight up carry, I think, a little longer than some of our, initial item holders can.
Yeah. Definitely. Speaking of carrying item holders, this Yasuo may be tempting for last Kardax. Doesn't look like that he is going to pick that up here, though. Duelist, I think, is a comp that can work. I don't think it's like, S tier by any means, but, you still can have some success with it. Maybe not as a Yasuo being the main focus there. I think that's a very, old thing, but going to be picking it up because of all that gold that last Kardax got right there. I think it's key that he also rolled the Xin Shao from those
Yep.
boxes. So now it can put the Yasuo, Xin Shao, and the Fjord that he's rolled in to have that 4 duelist buff already online. Gonna go ahead and make Runeans onto that Yasuo, and I think that's just gonna be an item carrier for now. If I see Runeans, I really think of Warwick. That composition is still
Yeah.
strong right now. Get a Runeans like Deathblade QSS on a Warwick, and he still goes to town in the mid late game.
Yeah, and the thing about duelists too is you have to really check yourself, especially at the beginning of the game, where you're going to be attacking faster than most people, especially if you have the 4-piece set at two
Oh
and
yeah.
one, right? So we're looking for Kardax to continue winning, and I'm sure Kardax is going to continue investing in his winning opportunities. This is getting a little cheeky right now, and Hecarim can do a little bit of like frustrating damage. This should be ew.
Oh, wow. It's a lot
Uh,
closer, but the Yasuo will
yep.
win. Yeah, a
Okay.
lot closer than I
Yasuo
expected, though, for sure.
super close, and yeah, a little bit beefy with that Vanguard. But I think with Yasuo, you're going to have a good 5-6 rounds to do what you want, take control of the board, and then it's all about losing by a little, I feel like, for duelists after that. So you don't fall out of
Yeah.
the top four once everyone else gets stronger.
Yeah, something that you were just talking about, which I haven't really seen much at all or hadn't put much thought into, but yeah, if you have 4 duelist early, the attack speed you're going to get is going to be pretty solid, and Runan synergizes with that, especially early game a lot.
Yeah,
Yasuo is getting a lot of those auto attacks off, and so those Runan's bolts are just doing work. They're going to like that was the difference between winning or losing that fight.
true.
Slamming items is so important when it preserves HP. Maybe goes on a win streak here. Last Kardex could potentially next round get up to 20 gold if everything goes well, wins this round, wins next round as well. So yeah, we'll
See,
see. This round is
um,
going to be super easy.
I just want to piggyback off of what you said about slamming items. So I competed in the Liquid tournament like a month ago.
Yeah.
Was that? And I got to hang out with Asian Gamer for a couple hours, which was awesome. Made it to third round, by the way.
Ooh,
Um, I know inspirational. I believe, the lowest ranked player remaining, which is really cool.
you're
But
nuts. Congrats.
in the game, right, there is a person who's Grandmaster, right? So this is not a mistake that even the only people in Plat make, right? It was Grandmaster didn't put the Ludens that they got on Teemo right for a Teemo right away, and then Asian Gamer was like, you should just put that Ludens on Teemo, wink wink. And then that Teemo won 6-7 rounds in a row, and that person ended up moving on in the tournament.
There you
So
go.
it really is about those power levels. And if you're trying to lose, then yeah, keep the items off, right? You don't want to potentially mess with your lose streak, right? Especially with an item like Ludens. But when you're running something like this, you got to keep going. You got to keep that momentum up. Duelists are all about being fast. Duelists are about attacking as much as possible, because if you run into like a Vanguard comp, you're going to have a hard time. So you
Yeah.
want to try to develop as much of a lead as possible, again, so you can kind of slowly lose that HP in the late game, because you'll see
Yeah.
duelist players hit first or second at the 4-1 carousel and then just fall out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that 4-1, I mean, like I think we're past a bit of that, 4-1 rolled down meta. I think I would say the meta is now just about leveling to 8 on like during the end of stage 4, maybe like 4 or 5 or so, but not really spending too much money, but you're going to roll it down as stage 5 begins. And those are going to be, you're going to want chosens that get you to that point. If we think about chosens, like this Yasuo here, it might not be able to carry you all the way up until that point. Now it could. Last Kardax has a couple of Yasuos on the bench as well, so we could randomly still see like Yasuo there or something. Last Kardax, bought the new put that in to try to keep the win streak going. Didn't quite work out, unfortunately. So it's just kind of you're on a timer, right? How far can
Mhm.
you go? How much HP can you sacrifice with still being able to level up, on pace with the rest of the lobby still? And, Duelist can definitely get you there. It's just how well it gets you there. Other Chosens, like we saw on the other side of the board, I believe it was Gunmay who had the Chosen Annie. Like, that's going to be a Chosen that can get you to, round 5-1 and then sell your Chosen a lot easier than that Yasuo. Already slamming the Locket on there as well. Already having Fortune because it is a Fortune Chosen Annie. Like, this is a good start for Gunmay here. And be able to slam Chalice as well. Like, these are perfect early game items. Gunmay has such a good start here, in my opinion. Two sharpshooters as well, even with the Teemo and the Jinx.
And the other very, very cool thing about Fortune, just in general, I think a lot of people look at Fortune as like, if you're not losing, you're not doing it right. And we
Yeah.
we say it like every fight night, but that 2 or 3 gold in the hands of these players is very different than the 2 and 3 gold in like my
Yeah.
hands, right? I get money, I'm buying donuts, right? Gunmay's getting money here. He might buy like, something for his house that's gonna last for 10 years or
Yeah,
invest
he's
in a
invested in the
house.
stock market.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like or like get a new chair, get a Herman Miller or something.
yeah.
That's what they're gonna do. I'm just gonna eat it. And so that's why winning with Fortune is still a pretty insane advantage because you just have more gold than other people
Oh, yeah.
throughout the game. And 3 gold here, 2 gold here becomes 15 gold here, which is a tier 2 5 cost unit that you've that's not actually how the math works, but feels like that you could get
Yeah.
potentially for free because of Fortune, plus the random Nikos that can pop out as well if you lose 1 or 2 before you win again. You don't want to get caught in Fortune jail though. So, and the best of the
Oh,
best
no.
can still get caught in Fortune jail. So,
We've
we'll
seen
definitely
it.
check in there.
Yeah, I think most noticeably recently, Wolfie likes to put himself in the scenario where Fortune Jail is an option. We see him, cash out a couple times and then not cash out, and didn't make it to this week, unfortunately.
Yep.
But yeah, Fortune Jail is real, and you really don't want to be there. But fortunately for Gunmay, it's just win streaking out, so you don't got to worry about having to, spend a lot of money, get strong, and go for that. I need to cash out before Wolves or I'm doomed sort of
Yeah.
state. Yeah, not really a thing anymore. Well, I think a couple of people actually have chosen Zeds as well from, passively looking at this match here at everyone's boards. And Zed, another composition that, it was very meta then fell off, but I think it is back a bit. I think Zed can still very, very much so find its way into the late game and still be very dominant at that point as well. So I think those players are going to be pretty happy. Contesting each other though, you're not going to be going for Z3s. You're probably just going to be leveling up, getting those 4 ninjas, that power spike, getting some adepts in, and going to level 9, level 8, level 9 for that power spike. Finding those legendaries like Yone and stuff, and Kayn. Kayn obviously a shade. Shade's not really what's going to be carrying that Z composition, but still a little nice, neat bonus there at the end of things.
Ooh, and Nico's help for our friend Gunmay here. And
All right.
speaking of Zed, and I think one of the coolest things about words I thought I'd never say about Zed comps is the fact that you can spread the power, excuse me, in a couple different ways. You can put all of your power into that Zed, right, with your general Rage Blade, Hurricane,
Yeah.
QSS. For example, tier 3 that, or just like you said, you can spread the power level across your 5 cost units, your
Yep.
Bill Gates, your legendary comps at the end of the round. So it's so funny because if you think of Zed, I think more like Master Yi, where you're like, oh, the flexibility really isn't there once you get the comp going. But in terms of itemization and power level for Zed comps, you do have to make that choice. And both, I think, are viable. Depending on the lobby, right? In terms of how they work against each other, that's actually really interesting. But in terms of how you play Zed, there's definitely those 2 distinct methods that you can try before, or even in the next set, as he's going to be there. He's not going to have that cheeky shade situation, as he's going to be a Slayer, but still the same itemization can still work.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Even I've seen people skip out on running the QSS nowadays, just go for the full damage Zed, and it's a bit riskier for sure if you're finding yourself in a lobby where there is a bunch of random CC. But typically, I think we see a little bit less CC than we used to in the past in set 4 there. But yeah, either way, Zed still a good comp. We're going to be seeing it in this game, no doubt, as we already have some
Mhm.
people running that Shade Shows, and yeah, there's RFC already there that we saw. Briefly want to talk about before we look at Gofab's board here. Gunmay chose to level up to level 6 on 3-1 just to preserve that streak, keep those fortune wins up. I think that's a very, very smart decision there. And Gunmay did end up preserving the win streak and is in first place currently on that streak. Looking over at Gofab here, there's a Runans once again,
Not in
but
first
the
place.
composition, yeah, not in first place, in last place actually. No chosen yet either. Only 20 gold on level 6. Like, this is a pretty unfortunate situation, I think. Usually, when players are in this situation, you have to just like roll on level 6 to find a chosen to stabilize, like a 3 cost or something. But not even that has happened, and you're already down to 20 gold here. So unfortunate start here
Yeah.
for GoFab.
It's like knowing that you're probably going to lose too unless you get like a pretty easy matchup.
Yeah.
Just to remind everybody about what we said about duelists, look at where last Kardax was. Started the game on like a 2 or 3 round win streak, lost to Gunmay, and hasn't won again. And so again,
Yep.
so streaky when it
Mhm.
comes to that duelist comp. We have the next power spike for Kardax, so we might be able to
Okay.
see him um, stop that nosedive. But GoFab needs to be doing the exact same things. We actually have a 3 shade comp on the board with a chosen,
Yeah.
I believe.
The thing for GoFab is though, there's no like power spike that's being hit right now. Last Kardax hit the Yasuo 3, so it is gonna be a committal to that. That's power spike. For GoFab though, it's like okay, a Teemo 2, Runeans, you have a Jarvan 2, a Sunfire. Like those are still pretty decent, but just the power levels of everything else on the board here. Like there's a Lulu chosen. Talk about Lulu earlier being very strong right now. Looks like it's actually will it win the round? Yeah, looks like it will win the round for Infernix over there on the other side.
There's no way this Nidalee is going to make things happen, especially with the
No.
2 remaining units. It's just
Yeah.
going to take a little bit. You're going to have to watch yourself die slowly but surely. And that's unfortunate for you. But GoFab is going to continue that loss streak, and it's actually really unfortunate. As you can see in the top bar, he won 2 rounds ago, which actually probably completely screwed his economy
Yep.
with that like 1 win, right? So again, something I really like emphasizing, especially for newer players coming in here, is losing is okay. And sometimes you want to try to force yourself to lose. In this situation, while he would have been at like 36 HP most likely, we definitely would be seeing them at 50 gold. Um, if we didn't have like this weird win in the middle of it, right? But that win pretty much eliminates, I think, a lot of potential for GoFab in order to like kind of recoup some cost and makes the rest of the lobby stronger. So, I mean, that person is everyone else's friend except for GoFab. So GoFab needs to really find something to work. And honestly, I think picking up a Dazzler Chosen, especially with a couple Divines already on the field, can be a way to stabilize. I snuck into 4th place at that tournament with a Lux Chosen myself. And so maybe it's just some recency bias, but Dazzler
Yeah.
bonus is always good, right? It's always going
Okay.
to matter.
It's going in. Yeah, I mean, GoFab was thinking about it real long there. Ends up going for it. It's going to be giving a divine. You already got the Warwick off of the carousel, so you're kind of committed to having to pivot to the Warwick composition, right? So 4 divines, what you're going to need at that point. You have the Sejuani in just as a vanguard and a frontline unit. Maybe get out some CC. Okay, she barely did right there, but can Warwick pull this all off? Kindred's going to be able to
Oh,
cast. It's getting close. Oh,
Grandmaster Kindred there, man. Did you
yeah,
see that dodge?
man. That was so close. I mean, it's not the end of the world because you're already on a loss streak. Maybe you lose this round barely and carry that win streak on into Wolves, right? But you gotta start winning at some point soon here. And making that transition and still being, relatively weak while not having that much gold is a bit of a worrying point. I mean, we're not at 50 quite yet. We're gonna be barely at 50 maybe this round. Maybe we can sell a Yumi. Yeah. Right there. And then you're stuck in the unfortunate scenario where you have to roll down on 4-1, which you don't really want to be at in this meta. So,
Yeah, you want to be able to. I think like the big
especially with
thing.
that chosen already. Yeah.
I think something that I have really noticed is the end of the game tightens up so much. You want to have, as I feel like, more resources than you're used to in those later games because everyone else is kind of understanding that part of the game a lot cleaner because of just where we are in the set, right? So when we get to the late game, a lot of decisions have to be made for a lot of these players. You'll actually see players with 90 HP start losing on purpose so they can get to 9 quicker. You'll see players at 42 HP win out because the rest of the lobby is starting to bide their time for the
Yep.
late game. And unfortunately for GoFab, investment I feel like has to happen now versus halfway through level 7.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna have to recoup cost again if we do decide to invest in some money. We won that last round, so that's something, but we still have a long way to go.
Preserve HP, lose a bit of gold, but you got to start somewhere right now in terms of the winning streak. And hopefully that does start now. The Lux is still going to be on the board. Curious to see GoFab's roll down here, but then probably want to, check out some of the other players in this lobby. Maybe one of the Z players, as want to check out how that comp is going to be doing in the mid game. You mentioned Asian Gamer earlier, one of the premier Z players, of course, played it very, very well. And ooh, yeah, okay, selling the Chosen. Going to be looking for another one. Buys the Warwick. That Warwick did have a belt kind of trapped on there, which you don't really want if you're going to be running the Warwick. But maybe the Warwick 2 is what was going to be necessary, though. Couple Rivens, another Lux. That's like good, but yeah,
It's
not
like
a great roll down there.
no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, only 3 cost chosens were given, right? You just sold one, so you probably are trying to avoid that as we have double rune-ins on our
Yeah,
second Warwick.
these items
Um,
suck.
and yeah, like you said, it is not working out. And that's honestly one of the better Lux ults they could have asked for, but it's no longer chosen. So we're gonna lose even harder. We ended up moderately weaker in my opinion than our comp from last round. But we've got 30
Yeah,
gold. It is not impossible to get our 4 cost chosen. We still don't have one just yet, so it's time to spend some more money.
it's like the only thing that actually changed about the comp is that there's an extra rune-ins on the Warwick. The Lux 2 Chosen went to a Lux 1, and there's now a ZZ Rod and an upgraded Jax. Like that's those are the only things that change. So yeah, you get weaker during that round, and that's not where you want to be at right now. Mystic Chosen Yumi, I mean, sure, putting that in over what, say, like the Sejuani is gonna be what you have to do, but it doesn't feel good at all.
There's no damage. There's no damage on this board,
No, but
especially
it's
with the
for
Warwick.
Mystic at least. Smile.
Uh, at least it's pretty good in set 2. It's set 4.5. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's good Mystic units in 4.5, but unfortunately for our friend GoFab, who actually looks like it's gonna work out this round.
Yeah.
Uh, as it looks like St- Stelfalador. I had nailed it the first time, man.
Yeah, you did. It
Just
was
gotta
so
go for
good.
it. Is
Oh,
biding his
no.
time a little bit. As actually, maybe not. Spoke too soon. As the Ash is gonna be enough with that double Hodge.
Yep, double Hodge. I believe just one of them rolled healing, but that was enough. I mean, the Ash just out-healed everything. The Warwick was not quite good enough. Checking over with MrMeeSeeks here, we got some sharpshooters. No chosen yet here either, but a lot more HP to work with than what we have on our bottom side of the lobby. And middle of the pack right now is so close. Actually, with everybody, like just looking even, let's just look at like second place to six right now, only a 6 HP differential.
I mean, this is kind of like how the lobbies I feel like have gone. It's like it's like everyone got better at TFT over the last week or so.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. The level of play has increased just from I think the community over time, and I think we're seeing a lot of people being able to overcome and get into challenger, get into grandmasters because we have so much information, we have so much to go off of now that we can confidently recreate those moments in competitive atmospheres. As GoFab actually wins another round. But again, it does kind of seem like MrMeeSeeks and our friends at the top of the lobby are starting to just push for level 9, 43 gold, level 7. As we left GoFab, they were halfway through, I think, level 7 with like 20 gold. So GoFab still, while winning now, is still at a little bit of a disadvantage a little later on because of that economy. Everybody else seems to be doing quite well with their economy, at least that we can observe. 40 gold seems to be the lowest that I've seen so far, but it's bad for GoFab, but it's even for everyone else right now. So after this carousel, especially after our next NPC round, the lobby will start separating, and we'll definitely start seeing which comps will reign supreme.
Yep. Here's kind of, yeah, that, as you were saying, that happy kind of like happy for some, like medium where everyone's kind of balanced out.
Mhm.
But we're going to see that split off soon. Some of these players who are low HP are gonna be, spending their money soon, win streaking out. perhaps a lot of things are going to be committed to soon. Mr. Meeseeks, finding a team of two, committing to that Sunfire. Sunfire is like a good early game item. Late game, it definitely, definitely falls off a bit, but that Silas will be sold once we get to 5-1, I'm sure. Gonna level to 8, try to find another chosen at that point. Or just a couple legendaries. Like say a couple of Canes, couple of Yones were found. There's that Nico already on the bench there. Maybe even just gonna be Nicoing to get a Jin too. Because with this composition, I think it's gonna be, sharpshooter Jin focus as all the items are already there. And kind of like best in slot Jin items, you really need that to be tier 2. Because it's gonna be your main carry.
Whew, this is actually not quite over for our mage player. I actually think Red's
Ooh.
gonna get it. Yeah, MrMeeSeeks falls, and Infernix is going to be able with a crazy roll on that Thief's Gloves, and one of the more powerful Maokais you will see in TFT, as I believe that Maokai is most likely just holding on to those gloves, or the singular Thief's Glove.
Yeah.
Right now, as we're looking over
Okay.
at gameplay, new dad, by the way, congratulations, friend, and is has been working very, very, very hard to get here. I believe like 6 months ago, they were not close to being able to qualify. Now they're making content and they're here. So that's exactly what Fight Night Rising is about, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Some huge, huge improvements there. And I think very, very well played this game as well. We see the Z3 being had. And yeah, there is no QSS on this Z3. It is just full kind of, 2.5 items damage, depending on if the Hodge roll is healing or damage there. But it's still just going to wreck everything that it comes across, at least right now. Up against Ali, like that wasn't even close. The 4 ninjas in, it was correct. I think Gangly was maybe considering putting or dropping the 4 ninja for something else, but no, I think it's definitely the correct decision here. And yeah, it worked out beautifully there in that fight.
We've got good units too. We've got the double keeper just for a little extra oomph on each side, so Zed just has a little bit of extra time. And our tier 1 units can maybe get an ult off, so the Zed can kill them just a tad bit faster. But we're actually in a really great spot. And you're wondering, okay, why are we still at level 7? If we have 5 gold, we're at 47. Why haven't we invested more? And XP is just like, in terms of power level, we're at the Z3 already, right? We're at
Yeah.
80, 85, maybe even 90% there. We just have to get everyone surrounding our Zed there as well. And
Yeah.
so we're looking for that Akali, we're looking for that Shen, and if there's any unit that I feel like pros have a hard time finding for someone, for some reason, it's Shen.
Oh yeah, Shen's so randomly elusive. It's so
I know.
insane. I mean, I've had experiences with that. I've told here before on this show. You have as well. Just man, that darned elusive Shen, man. But either way, going level 8 on 5-1 and still being comfortable enough to sit on 40 plus gold really just goes to show you how confident Gangly is with these synergies in right now, because most of them are tier 1 units, but the Z3, it's just it's popping off. And okay, MrMeeSeeks does have the tier 2 Jin right now, so that is necessary to come back. But if this Zed finds its way there, ooh, it's gonna be a close one. Okay, yeah, the Jin does fall, so Gangly
Oh,
maintaining that streak, and MrMeeSeeks dropping very, very low here.
I have a theory that if Aatrox didn't pool Zed actually probably would have been targeted by Jin's third and fourth shot there at the end.
Yeah, maybe.
And so that's unfortunate. Aatrox is one of those risks. It seems like a good idea in theory, but if you do have people going into the back line, you can actually pull them away from aggro. So really think about that positioning.
Yeah, and this is
Gangly,
perfect. Gangly finds the Zillion as well. Like, oh, that's so
Gangly
good.
now also has the Sand Soldiers, so he can get that back line. They're good to go because the Eve and the Akali, if one of them will end up in the back line, are going to be able to jump forward, and then you can use those Sand Soldiers to protect, which he's doing for the Zill, or you
Yep.
can put him in the back so they can take some shade or assassin aggro.
Yeah, they were in the back. Now they're in front of the Zillion. Protecting that Zillion is going to be huge. Like Zillion getting ults off wins fights. It's real insane. They're the power level that Zillion brings. It does both give 3 cultist and 2 mystic synergy as well. And yeah, it gives time for the Zed. Even if the Zed isn't getting targeted by the Zillion ulti, other units reviving gives the Zed more time to get more damage out. But it is struggling to kill this Annie here. And probably won't be able to do it. And Phoenix with these mages, gonna be a bit too strong here. Lulu Chosen has been kept the whole entire time. It is more so like a Vigar mage comp. And yeah, that's one of the comps that I think is not necessarily quite like S tier, but still fairly solid and can find some wins.
Do you ever think about, like, when these rounds end, like, what that would look like in real life to see a shadow ninja versus a child, and the shadow ninja struggling to do anything about it, right? It
I
just
know.
and he's just eating the damage and just chilling, right? Doing some damage over here, doing some damage over here, and then finally our friends get rid of the Zed, like, "Oh, ain't nothing."
I now have thought of it. I haven't before, but now I have, and man, that is sad if you're the Zed.
Yep. Especially you work so hard to get to the Zed, you spent so much money on it, and, a lot of people are like, "Oh, okay, well, it is 9, 2 cost units." It's not just that, you spend a lot of gold rolling down, pushing
Yeah.
XP so you can give yourself that opportunity, and when you lose, especially at this stage when you should
Oof.
be at your peak, it feels a little extra hard, but that just means that that comp that we saw, from Gunmay is just that strong with
Yeah.
it and being so powerful. So we do have 2 single-digit people remaining as Allie and Gofab do come out in 7th and 8th place. MrMeeSeeks and Stelfalador are going to be our bottom 2 picking first, and we're on our complete item carousel. So this is really just to round out and circle out a lot of comps. But there's actually some good items here.
Yeah, there are some solid items here. The Sword of Divine, actually being prioritized by Stelfalador. They were running the Warwick composition, I believe, so getting another Divine there is really nice. I'm not sure if they had an Ash or not, but getting a Divine Ash is pretty huge. I'm actually curious if we could check out Stelfalador. Yeah, okay. So there is an Ash. It's on the bench though, and ooh, it's kind of just like a mix match hodgepodge of a bunch of different comps here because well, a couple different comps. I should say there is the Dusk Chosen Riven, but only 2 Dusk. She has the tanky items, but not that much damage. And there is that Warwick and only 2 Hunter, not 6 Divine. There is just 5 Divine with that spat, and there still is just 5 in right now. But if you're getting Divine Spat, you really want to be able to fit 6 in, I think.
I mean, life is like a box of chocolates right now for Stelfalador. You never know what you're gonna get. Is it gonna be a hunter? Is it gonna be a divine? Is it gonna be a dusk?
Oh,
Sometimes you got to commit, and we didn't commit this time, and that's going to cause us to drop out of the top 4 as MrMeeSeeks is able to settle down. His last Kardax was last place not too long ago. Who had a 3-game win streak, lost, I believe, 6 games in a row, got Yasuo 3, and I believe has lost only like 2 rounds
yeah.
since then. So this duelist comp is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But it's still winning, which kind of strikes me as the lobby being
Yeah.
friendly towards duelists right now. And so it's looking like a top 4 based off of where everyone else is right now.
Yeah. And looking at this a bit more in depth, it's off the back of a few very pivotal key power spikes. The first one was the Yasuo 3. The second one was getting the itemized Xin Shao, right? These items are actually really, really good on Xin Shao as he's going to be a threat in of himself. The third one is going to be finding the Yone. Yone has been found, so now this this Yasuo here, look, is still full HP because of all the life steal that you get from having the double exile. The Runan slam there, well, I thought it's like, oh, okay, it could just be an item carrier. It could go into Warwick later. You could still run it if you're running it with an item like Deathblade, being able to, have that kind of cleave extra shot bullet there, stack up the Deathblade faster, gives you, more life steal, more damage, and frankly, a very solid comp here for last Kardax.
And we're actually going to get even better with one of, in my opinion, the best NPC items you can get, which is the Zephyr.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really good to get at this stage.
It finds value. It's one of the few items that I think finds value in the late game more so than the early early game. I think a lot of items are geared towards winning in the early game, things like Ludens. Then we have a few late game items, and Zephyr is one that I think really shines
Oh,
where
yeah.
we're at right now, especially in like the 1v1 situation. That's honestly one of the most hype moments in TFT is where the Zephyr is
Yeah.
going. So I'm really looking forward to it. And with a Lee Sin too, my question to you is why keep that Lee Sin in the back line? Is it so he doesn't take aggro?
Lee Sin in the backline, I think it's not only is it a little bit awkward to fit him in front, he can also get focused down. But with if a unit jumps into the backline, right, Lee Sin just turns on it and can kick it out like pretty instantaneously. Like say this Zed, if the Zed was jumping on the side of Lee Sin, it's gonna get Zephyred here though. By the way, great Zephyred there by last Kardax. But Lee Sin can just turn and kick a unit out. Like the Evelyn right there. So I think that's really really smart by last Kardax in the lobby of Zed players here.
Yeah, and then the other major thing that last Cardex was able to achieve was dealt with that Zed. right?
Yeah,
We put the Zephyr in the exact right place, the exact right time, and Gangly just wasn't prepared for it.
yeah,
And that's why
and it won the round.
yeah, and that's why we say Zephyr in the late game is so good because all that power, all that itemization, all that DPS, even with the Hurricane, right? It's just not available for 5 seconds, right? So where's that damage going to be coming from? For Gangly, really nowhere else. So I
Yeah.
think Last Kardax played that pretty perfectly, to be completely honest with you.
Mhm.
Maybe
Everything
even
from
perfectly.
Yeah, no, I would say so. Everything from the Lee Sin positioning here, to everything positioning actually, to holding that Zephyr for that exact spot. I mean, arguably could have scouted a bit more here to get a good Zephyr. The Zephyr ends up going out of Sand Soldier here, which is kind of whatever, but still just a good comp though. Might just carry him through. And yeah, it will.
And Last Kardax has actually opened up this lobby. It is starting to dominate. MrMeeSeeks, just in the nick of time, at the bottom, is actually going to sneak into third place. Where is Gangly going to go? Because Gangly is so position oriented and now has to deal with a tier 2 Yone who's going to have,
Oh yeah.
lifesteal of their own. Last Kardax is so strong. And this is what you meant by, hey, let's add some of those legendary units in. Now that we've got the Lee Sin, now that we've got the Yone, the comp is now complete.
Yeah.
And things can't really get any stronger from here on out. And this is why we say that duelists can top out, because there are going to be games that get to 7-1, 7-2, where this is still going to be the max power
Oh,
that they get to. Oh,
there we
they're
go.
done
Now we're at max
7-3. Now we're
power.
at max power. Now we're at max power.
Yeah, it was rolling a lot for that Chinchou 3, but yeah, now we're capped. Probably the only way you can get stronger here is going level 9, maybe fighting close to 3, but she doesn't really have any items, but man, it meant not even matter. Like, look at this right now. MrMeeSeeks getting eliminated, Gangly holding on, and yeah, Gangly gets second place at least here though.
Mhm.
With this Zed, I'm not sure that this Zed actually is going to be able to win at the end of the day, but I could be wrong here.
Well, to start in second place for your first fight night ever is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's something to tell your friends about. Maybe not your baby because I don't think they'll understand. But Last Kardax, 45 HP, is in a very dominant position. Another good completed item. It stats for 3 people and its attack speed, which where he is at Duelist is just like a tad bit over. It's like a win more situation. You're not really adding any more advantages. You're just kind of adding some whipped cream and sugar to what you already have, right?
Yeah.
With the Zeeks, but it's still going to make you attack faster. Still going to make that Lee Sin a tad bit tankier.
Oh, okay. I don't think he got the swap off there, the John in the end. No, so that's gonna hit another Sand Soldier there for last Kardax. Maybe it was the ping difference there. There is 161 ping as I'm seeing in the top right there, but neither here nor there. Into the fight. The Zed's still alive though.
The longer the Zed is alive, the scarier it becomes. And with this Runins, it's making things pretty interesting. I think the Zed might have it. Really depends on where this
Yeah.
Xin Zhao is going to go. And because of that shade buff, we actually see a Zed come out on top. I think it's going to be a requirement to get that Zephyr on that Zed at this point.
Or at least on a unit on a Sand Soldier, for sure. I mean, you saw we saw you tried to swap it there at the end, and actually, if you swapped it where you wanted to, it would have hit the Zed. So, like the foresight is there, just needs to be a little teeny bit faster there. Okay, I kind of like this. It does get rid of Mystic, but Mystic is whatever, right? It doesn't really matter. But you're gonna be
Essentially,
able to yeah, you're gonna be able to fit the Zephyr on whatever, and if it hits the Zed, which it will right here, you might just win the game because of it.
all right, we did put in some adept on Gangly's side as well, and look at the difference between getting the Zed Zephyr'd and
Yep.
not. That's the difference between winning and losing. And 18 HP, I don't think is going to be enough.
No.
Yep, and we're going to fall. Last Kardax will continue his win
Yeah.
streak from last year, starting off in first place, 10 points for our buddy Kardax.
Man, I mean, you can't say it was a fluke or anything of the sort. Starting off, really strong to the new year here as last Cardex after, a narrow victory, had that energy, had that, it was such a great interview, man, thinking back on a few weeks ago.
Hilarious.
I absolutely loved it. But that confidence too, to be able to say, yeah, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna, do similar stuff or even the same stuff. And right now, we're definitely seeing that here for Last Cardex. Beautifully played there. Selling the Janna is the correct move. You put the Callista in, and you can do the same thing again. Even if you miss that round, right? With the
Mhm.
with the Zephyr, you can still sell that Callista because you already have another one and do the same thing all over again. Just give yourself more chances, right? to pull off that Zephyr and to win the game. So 10 points for last Kardax, 8 for Gangly, 7 MrMeeSeek, 6 for Infernix. Gunmay actually getting bottom 4 in the first game. The mages weren't quite good enough. And yeah, the rest of the lobby, 3, 2, 1 points for Stelfalador, Alley, and Gofab.
And so we're going to be taking a look at Allie and Fernix a little bit more in that next lobby. So we'll be able to watch their gameplay in detail here very, very soon. But I would love to talk about Kardax just a little bit more because honestly, I think he maybe played one of the easiest games of his life then. Everything was just kind of how you play duelists, right? That was pretty cut and dry. That would be in the science textbook that was made in 1980. And,
Yeah.
and like how to play this comp outside of the Runin's Hurricane, which is maybe one of the few things that could have been improved upon, but with the addition of the Yone later, it was fine. So
Yeah. No,
we got
I
the
think
light
it was
steal, we
good.
got the burst, we had every sort of damage. We had Lee Sin for the super tanky people or the assassins and shades. So we had an answer for everything. It was going to be hard, and the last piece of that puzzle was that Zephyr, which was gifted by the Mort
Oh,
God
yeah.
in the NPC round.
Definitely. If the Zephyr wasn't there, it's still a winnable game, but it is a lot harder. You got to position very, very intelligently to win that. And yeah, a couple of rounds were won literally just based off of the back of that Zephyr. So
Hmm.
kind of fortunate there. Could have still won anyway. Regardless, still very well played by last Kardex there. I think it's interesting that I come into the day and say, oh yeah, the meta. I think a lot of a lot of Ash, a lot of Jin, and we saw comps. I don't think we saw any Ash focused ones though. We did see a Jin, and it got sixth, I think actually. So it didn't
We
quite end up going as good as I thought, but it also wasn't just like a typical late game super super strong Jin comp. It was a little bit kind of like I guess like wishy-washy. The Gen 2 got there kind of got there a little bit late. So, I mean, those comps are still good, but it's nice to see comps like Duelist and like Zed come out and dominate.
hmm I actually heard someone the other day explain TFT in the terms of a rhythm game, and while it was a little bit of a reach, one thing that I really appreciated was the fact that it's like sometimes when it comes to where you max out this comp, it needs to hit right at the downbeat, right? If you
Mhm.
don't, you're just behind, right? So that's the best metaphor I heard. So I think we actually saw that real in really good display
Yeah.
from last Kardax there, who played. And admittedly, I don't think the type of lobby that appeared was necessarily good against duelists, right? Remember when we said, oh, if it's a friendly lobby to duelists, you could totally win, right? And it was, right? We had that Zed, we had that Zephyr, and no one was going to CC our carries as hard as maybe we used to. And so I think it was a little bit of a walk in the park for Kardex, and everyone needs to make it a little bit more of a challenge this time around. Like we said earlier, Gunmay is under the weather right now, but sometimes weird things happen when you sec, you end up playing better. And we'll see if that's going to be the case. It's late, and he's sick, and it's late there. So I wonder, in game 4, how we're going to do if we're still doing a good job.
Yeah, we'll see here. We got a couple of Yasuos to start. Gummy got 6 gold off of the first neutral round, though. A Rod off of the second neutral round could end up slamming a Locket here. That's a lot of Elises in the shop there. It is tempting. I think Cultist Keeper is a decent transition into some really good late game comps. Gonna not opt to go for it, though, it seems, for Gummy here, though.
Gunmay seems to like the faster starts, a
Yeah.
little bit flashier. So I don't think like our buddy here is like, ooh, cultist keeper. I think it's the best way to go into Dusk, which is one of the best comps in the game right now. But
Yep.
we'll see what happens. So we're gonna go ahead and spend all of our money for our pack, which is good because it's gonna give us an opportunity to potentially 2-star units in the next pack. And we actually have a Teemo to start, which is a very strong early game unit. And we are gonna put it
Yeah.
in there with there it is, the Ludens.
Ludens. Yeah. So yeah, a couple things Gummy did there. So he lowered his chances to get 2-star units there because he did pre-level to 4. So it gives him higher chance, of course, to roll 2 or 3 cost units, but less chance to roll those 1 cost units to hit there. But getting the Teemo close in the shop, right? But you're not going the cultist direction. So I think the Teemo is pretty good. You're not really super happy with slamming a frozen heart. We rarely, if ever, see that one. Locket's like great. It's okay, but the Ludens on the Teemo is going to be solid here. It's not going to win this round, unfortunately, because there's going to be 3 tier 2 Moonlight units already for Gofab, but against a lot of other people, that actually might have been a win for Gunmay there.
There aren't many comps in the early game that can be stronger than GoFabs right now, outside of
Yeah,
looking into those, like, when someone lucks into a tier 3 unit at, like, 2-2. Um, my buddy
yeah.
on PBE got a Nasus, at tier 3 at, like, 2-1. So, like, it can happen, but that's not the case here for Gunmay. So, unfortunately, that Moonlight comp will most likely win out, for a bit until we
Yeah.
get a little bit more damage out on the board, which is not gonna be coming from, Gunmay and that Teemo anymore. It's gonna be coming from Viger, who he loved playing the last time we were here, and he ended up getting top 3.
Yep, gonna be going for it again, it seems like there. And the Elderwood Chosen, I mean, you might as well at that point. I think while you don't want to run 6 Elderwood with Ash ever, it is okay to run 6 Elderwood with Vigar, I think, because of that AP scaling. And you can still fit 3 Mage in very easily. Oh, that was actually really, really weird. The Vigar cast got canceled there by the Jarvan knocking him up. I don't think I've seen that happen before. Got my like question mark pinged that there. So a bit unfortunate, but maybe it's still okay. I mean, going on a bit of a loss streak early isn't the end of the world. You can get some good items from the carousel as well. And yeah, it might end up being okay because of that.
And we only lose by 1 unit, so we're
Yeah.
cool. That's a-okay. But we have spent a lot of money in the early game. Usually, you start seeing people accrue, and right now, Gunmay is investing, and we're investing and losing, which is unfortunate. But I think that's more so to the items that we have, and we switched off the Teemo, which I think has a more consistent Ludens. Of course, not as good as Nami, but Viger is a nice 3rd or 4th choice. You don't get I don't believe you get the extra damage if your Ludens kills somebody. It has to be your main spell cast. And at tier 1, it's not going to really be doing that much. You're still kind of accruing that power.
Yeah.
But at least we got it at 2-3. So we're going to be able to spend most of the game getting this Viger to 2 AP, 4 AP here and there during these battles in the early game.
Yeah. And it's gonna stack up. Like finding it this early is gonna be huge.
Oh,
Again, the
that was
Vigar
weird.
cast got canceled by the Pike stun there. So it's more frequent of an interaction than I ever noticed. Apparently, of happening twice in a row to Gunmay there. The units on the other side are just kind of smurfing, it seems. But yeah, Allie with the chosen Vanguard Hecarim going against the chosen Elderwood Hecarim. The Vanguard one is gonna reign supreme here. The Galio has already slammed down. Gonna be doing a bit too much damage for Gunmay to deal with.
The weird thing about that Viger thing was it kind of felt like he started casting after the stun, but still canceled it. It was kind of how it looked like to me, but
Yeah, well, like the Pike stun has a little bit of a delay. I think, like just like
yeah.
visually, I think that's like what happened there a bit. It started the cast and then the
So
stun like went through kind of thing.
It's like which one of these things doesn't belong, where you're like, that's different. Okay, so here we go. 2-4 carousel. We've got some
Yeah.
tiers, we got some rods, and we've got some bows. So in terms of itemization recently, what are you looking at? Like, what are you starting with? Is it still just the tier to start going into Hodge or Chalice? Because pros love using things like Chalice and Zeeks and
Yeah.
Lockets, as we've seen already. Is that kind of still
Yeah,
staying course?
Chalice is very good. It's super flexible item. It's good at pretty much like all points of the game. Definitely like building that one early. Zeke's as well. I mean, I personally kind of shy away from Zeke's a little bit if I don't have any other direction, but players can still very much go it. Like we do see Ali going it here.
Cat
I
cam.
think it's still very very good. Oh, we do have cat. Wait, is that
Is it
a very
real?
still cat? No, it's just
Okay,
like the
slideshow.
pictures.
Do you see how close I got? Is
Yeah,
it real?
to really inspect
Yeah.
that.
Anyway, look how cozy they look.
Yeah.
Allie, is a cat playing TFT right now? Oh my god, Alley Cat. I wonder if that's on purpose. You know how slow I am with making those connections, man. I remember there was a name that it took me like 3 weeks to be like, "Oh."
Oh, yeah, I forget who it was, but I remember that happening, yeah.
There's also a player that had a very inappropriate
Oh, yeah, we didn't figure it out
name.
till after the broadcast,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we
I
had
mean,
been
there's no way
saying
for
it
us to have known, but
yeah, and we had been saying it the whole time, which I actually think is probably one of the best trolls I've ever experienced. Like, you gotta give props at that point, in my opinion, but,
yeah.
the alley cat, oh, man, look at their legs are so weird, aren't they? Cat legs? I don't know, man, it's, like, the weirdest part of a cat for
The way
me.
they, like, bend, like, the way their
Ye
bones
Well,
are,
and then
yeah,
when, like, they clean themselves and it's, like, weirdly straight, you know?
true.
That's off-putting for me. Definitely more of a dog person, but cats.
I was gonna say I could tell from your descriptions of that right there that you are not
See,
a like.
this
Sure,
is it.
cats are like cool and all, like they look cute, but yeah,
This
you
is what
were
I'm
just not
talking
about
about.
it.
That's the bottom foot. That's what I'm talking. Anyway, still a very cute cat, but that's the bottom foot.
It is. It is. Yeah.
You know, I can try to do that, but I'm too old.
Hey,
Anyway,
you're not on broadcast. I want to break any
I know
bones on stream here.
exactly. Allie's
Pull any
killing it right
muscles.
now. My ooh, it's a shiny object really was on display just then. Oh, look, it's getting married. Sorry, I can't. We might might have to just cover it up real quick.
All right. So Allie here
I'm
with the 3
sorry.
cultists, 2 Vanguard. The Vanguard chest and hacker as you saw a bit ago. Unfortunately, didn't go 5 win streak in this round. Just lost to 1 unit on round, was it 2-5 there? But
Yeah.
still a solid start here. I think Sun Ludens on Pike is actually a pretty solid move. It's one of those items that can flex into multiple things. Like, we see people slamming on Teemos and the like. And Pike, I think, is a good carrier for it. Gets them to that ultimate a bit faster, get that stun out. And yeah, it could go on a numerous amount of things later on.
I legitimately blocked the cat, so I think I'm good. Okay, so Allie is absolutely crushing it, like you said. And something I like about these kind of particular cultist starts is not what we're seeing right now, but what we're going to see a little bit later. I have
Yeah.
found cultists being kind of like the most polarizing pivot point for a lot of people. I think there are people who are very good at it. Being able to pivot out of cultists, maybe getting into some keepers, moving into dusk a little bit later. You can move into a lot of different things, and I think that option of choice coming out from cultist, nothing really feels obvious to me, right?
Yeah.
And I think with cultist, when you come out of it, the really good players will do it seamlessly, and Ali is going to have to be doing that exact same thing, because I think cultists also lull you into a little bit of a false confidence with those early game wins that Gallia will sometimes steal from people.
Yep. Definitely. GA has been slammed as well on that hacker. And it looks like it may end up actually being the difference between this round being a win or a loss. Hacker going to GA state, gonna come back and get that ulti off, and yeah, clean up
We're
the
good.
rest of the fight here. So good intention there. I know you like that word a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, intention from Ali, wanting to preserve that HP, wanting to preserve the strong start here. So slamming every item possible. Also leveling up to 6 on 3-2, kind of on curve here. Is rolling though. I don't know if this needs to be a roll down necessarily. It is going to result in a Teemo 2, but there's no sharpshooter there. The Teemo's not gonna have the Ludens unless we're gonna switch up a few things here. So you lose out on a lot of gold potential there. I guess you could theoretically still go up to 20 gold here. But really, these rounds need to be wins to make that worth it, I think.
I totally agree. The only reason why you would invest is to continue that win streak, as the Pike ult could be a little bit better, left a little bit
Yeah.
to be desired. But I think the overall power of Ali's composition right now is enough for now, right? We have like kind of like best in slot in terms of units for power level potentially. Ooh, a Sejuani. This is actually moderately early for that and would get us a Vanguard buff, but
Yeah.
in terms of where Ellie is going, we still don't really see where the end game is. Are we going to go to that, 9 cultists? Are we going to transition out of it? Are we going to go into mystics or keepers? It seems like we're still deciding. And again, cultist players will have to decide at some point whether to stay the course or run away. And Allie's still getting there.
Yeah. It's very much usually a comp that you pivot away from. It's just a matter of when, right? Talked about the roll downs earlier, or the leveling points, I suppose. You want to do that at 4-5 and 5-1. If you have a really good opener, which Cultist Keeper is generally a very good opener. It does save a lot of HP here. Going up against Gunmay in this round. And yeah, Gunmay has that Hackerum chosen as well, and the Vigard, it's going to definitely be stronger at this point than Allie's composition here. Allie losing to 5 units is a bit rough. You start occurring these losses by a lot of HP, quick and fast, and by the time you're at Wolves, you're like still, bottom half of the lobby, even though we just were in first.
I So I think what Ali did is a little bit of a trap. So something that I said earlier on today was if you want to keep winning, you want to invest, right? But that's up to a certain point. Of course, there's going to be those variables that live on the poles that don't go towards, Occam's razor, which is the simplest solution is probably the best, right? Or is the most likely solution. What Allie did, I think, was, oh, we're winning. I need to invest. And we moved, so we got a unit. And unfortunately for us, our unit didn't come until we were under 10 gold, making our bench a little bit weaker. And now we have this kind of spotty composition that we have to transition out of because I don't really see a way
Yeah.
to 6 cultists here. And we're only at 30 gold. So if we kind of just held on, right, and had 12 gold there, we probably are around 30, 35, 40 gold right now, and in just a little bit more of a better situation.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens a little bit later as Stelfalador is going to be who we're looking up next is below Allie. I believe Allie is going to be kind of 50-50 on their wins and losses for the next couple of rounds. We'll see if that rings true. Stelfalador also in the middle of the pack with, it looks like, a brawler comp.
Yeah, and real quick,
Fortunate.
yeah, remember you were talking about, TFT being compared to like a kind of like rhythm game a bit ago. I think that kind of rings true. And there's times where you want to invest, on that down B. There's times that you want to invest certain things, right? Like your gold there. And I think I do agree. It's a bit of an awkward time for investment. It's Alley, but we'll check back in with them later here as we are checking in with Stelfalador with our brawler composition with Fortune as well. Brawlers, kind of meh. You don't really see brawler focused stuff anymore at all. It's okay in the early and the mid game, but does very, very quickly get outscaled. Losing this round is okay, but I think we definitely want to win the next round to cash in on the fortune. You don't really want to be stuck in fortune jail after wolves generally, because it makes it a bit too awkward to pivot out later on when you already lost too much HP and other people have already power spiked kind of enough. You want to try to cash in before people power spike. And so yes, Falador does level up to 7 now. Putting in just a Lux 1 might look weird, but and it's only a 2 loss cash out, but I think it's might be the right play here.
I totally agree. And just so people know, there are a couple reasons why someone would level at 3-6. And the number one reason is because they're playing Fortune, in
Yep.
my opinion.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, they're going to have to win. Right in the next round, I think 4-3 is the latest I'd ever take Fortune. I don't listen to my own advice, but for you guys at home, 4-3 is really late for Fortune. And if you win
Yeah.
there, you do get yourself kind of set up. But we've seen a lot of people win at 18 HP and just lose the next round, right?
Yep.
Because they weren't able to stabilize in time. So it's okay. We got our payout now. Let's not commit to this fortune anymore. Let's go ahead and switch on out. Get Jinx out of here, potentially. If anyone stays, it's maybe the Jinx. But we've got 2 Kennons and a Yumi now, 2 units that are very good at helping pivot. So we'll or get some more money.
Yeah, it was basically a couple of gold was given there. So basically, it was like 11 or 12 gold, I think, in that cash out, and that does make a bit of a difference. Like that is going to catch you back up on, and more the gold that you use to level up there. Like the econ loss has been caught up and more from getting that fortune, right? And then gonna want to pivot out of fortune here. Maybe depending on what Sveltor is prioritizing here and what items drop. It could be Renan's what items? Okay, there's a locket. This could be like a Warwick comp pivot. It could be a Jin pivot. It could even be like Riven Jin. It could be Ash as well. There's a lot of directions that you can go if you're Falador here. It's just when do you sell that Vi and what you find in that roll down, pretty much. And you want to wait until 5-1 to really roll down now if you're going to contest, winning the lobby. Doing it before then, you're just going to be playing to kind of like not go bottom 2, bottom 3. I mean, sure, there are outliers to that as well. And
Mhm.
stunning Sunfire, it looks like you're just gonna wanna chill until 5-1 perhaps. So can we get there?
I mean, Sunfire is going to be guaranteed true damage for at least the first couple seconds, right? And
Yep.
maybe it's the best way to burn through our frontline tanks. The Nidalee here is actually going to make this close. Could actually pull this out,
Yeah, they
especially
really
with
will.
the Hodge and the Hodge with the dodge. Oh,
Oh.
I think we're okay still. Oh
Oh,
nope,
wow.
never
Okay.
mind. It's so the slat fight ends with the tree, the power of the nature coming back to haunt. Our friend Stefalador, though, is going to get a couple extra gold. We still have 4 brawlers. We're gonna keep. I mean, we're winning. So I mean,
Yep.
if it's gonna get us 2 or 3 gold for these next couple rounds, I guess why not? There's really nothing we need to do until we do like distinctly lose. So
Yeah.
we'll wait until then.
Yep, Stelfalador going on that probably level 8 on 4-5 train and then rolling down at 5-1. Has picked up a Morgana as well. I think that fits into decent amount of compositions with the locket being an item you're going to put on her later. Can even frontline her with that as well. Buff everything up in terms of shields there. The Talon, not really ever going to be utilized, I don't think. Talon still not a great unit, unfortunately. Cheer Gwen the Jinx just to get those stuns out a bit faster. I still like it though. I think we're kind of on pace here to have a good late game.
Yeah, and you're seeing Allie starting to struggle now. Do you see what we're seeing? We're at the top of the lobby still. But again, we still haven't really transitioned out of these
Ooh,
cults. It's still kind of a spattering of
yeah.
different things. This Hecarim, though, is going to be mighty difficult to take down. But now that we're in overtime, that healing's just not really going to be doing all that much. But with the GA, I think this Hecarim's got it. Oh,
The
oh,
Tahm
oh,
Kench
Tom
is
Kench!
so tanky.
This is gonna be a
Okay,
close one.
the
Oh,
Jinx, no, Jinx had a proc GA before she ultied and then went there. And okay, Allie did make it. I was gonna talk about the gold on Allie's side because it was under 20 before that. They won the round and they did get to up to 20 gold, but still 20 gold is very, very low to be at on 4-2, maybe 30 gold now on 4-3. Still under 30 as we see. Falador scat that out a little bit. But Falador already near half the way to level 8 above 50 gold, 59 HP. I'd rather be in Cephalodore's position, honestly, as opposed to Ali's position right now.
and
Even
that's
though it's like a
why
20 HP differential,
It's
30, or, yeah, 20
something
rather.
that we've said in the past is those numbers on the right are a good way to kind of see where the lobby is in terms of rhythm, in terms of where people are right now in their team comps, but it is not an accurate representation of team strength a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The person in first place, especially right now, tends to get weaker. Just like in any race, right? The person pacing, it's hard to keep that pace up. Yeah, you can win and stay in first place the whole time, but like 8 times out of 10, that person's just going to pace for the race and then let their teammate come in. If you're like doing cross country or something. But
Yeah.
what Allie needs to continue pacing, but is running out of steam, is running out of that energy because you do end up spending more money to pace the lobby. And so I think that's kind of the consequences that we had. And because we took so long to actually decide where we're going, I think we're going to see a couple more losses.
Yeah.
We can still get out of cultist. We can still be okay, especially if we get some 5-cost units, get them to tier 2. We're at the top of the lobby, but this lobby is very, very close. So any advantage that we had by running a strong early game comp is just not there.
True. Speaking of running out of Steam, if Steam was HP, last Kardax there at the bottom, 27 HP right now. They did get kind of low last game because the duelist, but they were like 45 where they stabilized. But I wonder. I actually don't know if we know what last Kardax is running right now. I'd be curious to check on in with them, see what's going on. Stelfalador did cash out Fortune again as well, by the way. And yeah, levels to 8 here is rolling a little bit to stabilize, just so that they don't take a billion losses here. But they are. I guess they're just rolling it down right now as opposed to waiting to 5-1. I guess that's like okay. Found Talon too. Okay, this Ash I think is yeah, snap take, sell that Talon, get it out of here. Go for the hunters.
Bye.
Yeah.
Uh, see you later, Talon. And guys, gals, and other pals at home, if you like Talon, just let him go. You have to let him go. Right?
True.
That one time he carried for you is gonna be the only time that game he's gonna do it. So be very careful when running that talent. I kind of put talent and Ari in those kind of what do I call it? Consolation comps,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like nothing else is working and this is the only thing I've been offered, so I'm just gonna run talent. I've got moderately good talent items, et cetera, et cetera. I could just put those items on someone else once I hit legendary units, but talent loses very frequently, as last Kardax has lost very frequently up until right now. So we did end up winning that last round, and let's see where we go from here. Our gold could be a tad better, but it's not awful. Obviously, we've spent some money because we're in 8th place. Let's see what happens after these next 2 rounds, as we are going to be able to make it to those chickens.
Yep, doing a bit of scouting here, and it is going to be the Filio-centered composition. We are not going to be achieving Aphelios 4, it looks like here. 3 Lissandras away, 3 Aphelios away, and 6 Silas away, actually. So yeah, ew. This is looking rough here. If you're going to Aphelios comp and you don't get Aphelios 4, you need to be pacing with the rest of the lobby in terms of leveling up. Like, and that's not happening here. We're about to go into Raptors, only 40 gold, just barely hit level 7. So the pacing is just kind of off. And if it's a rhythm game, we're kind of offbeat right now for last card.
Yeah, and we have spent a lot
Yep.
of money to get really not that much. I wonder if this is the Moonlight comp that we saw. I don't think it was in the early game, but last Kardax. The reason why I stopped in Grimace there is just like he can get stronger, but to get there, it's gonna be a while, and we're just gonna need at
Yeah.
27 HP more time than we have. And at
No.
level 7, hitting those Lissandras is gonna be tough. You might be able to pick them up, but it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, you just pick up the Lissandras. You still need 6 Alices, which is, I guess, doable. You pyro a QSS here. Like, that's great. Sure. Still a long, long way to go. Another Philios, but if we're not rolling down now, which, okay, we are rolling down now. We are finding some
Oh,
units.
oh my
Okay.
god,
I mean,
3 in a row, but still.
yeah, and another Warwick. Like, okay, that's good, right? Somebody even said it's really good, but it's still not enough, which is the disappointing thing if we're, last Kardax fans here, which, personally I am. I've become in the past, few weeks, especially, going on tonight and starting it off with a first place. Going up against the chosen Ash, though, and now Stelfalador has found a Yone. This is like a super strong endgame comp.
We found the we found the Yone, and this is gonna be all about that Moon Man on the other side, and we're gonna lose, right? Like you said, it seems good, it feels good, but it is not enough. As Stelfalador has had a pretty strong comp since the last time we met him, as we saw the Chosen Ash get picked up before we left his POV. Last card, so at least at 50 gold, but we're never gonna reach level 8, most likely. We only have a couple
Yeah.
more rounds, maybe even just one if we get wiped. That probably won't happen, especially with a hunter comp. But
Yeah,
18
it'd probably be
HP
2.
is not gonna make anyone feel that great. And again, just to show how good everyone's gotten at the game, everyone is still in the game after all of the NPC rounds. Usually we have like 1 or 2 people fall by this point, but all 8 players are still here.
Yeah, I think just meta-wise, the pacing of the game allows for everyone to still be alive at this point. Maybe people are kind of super low rolling, like last card X here. You might start being, falling over soon, but rarely, unless your game's super doomed, will you be losing that early now. This could be a win actually for last card X here. Gunmay looks pretty weak, honestly.
That missile from that Lissandra
Oh
is
no.
pretty good. Oh
Oh
no,
no.
ZZ Rot. Ah!
Losing to a 0 item Azir and the ZZ Rat minion is just like it's doomed. It's doomed.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Aphelios 4, a lot of people are excited about the damage and stuff. For me, it's the HP. You just get to live a little bit longer and do a little bit more damage, which gives you more procs. And we didn't build, we have a bow on the Giant Slayer, but that's it when
Yeah.
it comes to attack speed. So that's all just raw damage from the Hunter proc. And that's going to be tough. I mean, you're going to have to get a couple cycles of that ult to really take over a game, as we do get a tier 3 Lissandra, but we're still
4
4
Silas is off.
away. 4
Yeah.
Silas is off from making that happen. But at least we have a Silas 3, Lissandra 3, and an Aphelios 3, which means that the
Oh,
rest of the comp is
okay.
going to be a little bit stronger. This is looking like a potential win, but with the Zillion, it's going
Yeah.
to be a little bit harder. Huge Cassiopeia ult as well. But we are going to res this Ash. I think this is going to be the Moon Man coming
Hey.
out on top, as Infernix will fall, but it's a little too close for comfort. This is where you should be peaking in terms of power on this comp. We're just not even close.
Hey, MrMeeSeeks actually did go out in 8th, so pretty good for last Kardax and Gangley here, avoiding that spot. Last Kardax 4 Silas's away. That round was kind of a gift facing up against a tier 1 Ash and still almost losing to it as well because of the Zillion. That should have been a lot more of a dominant win there. Um, Items in the carousel here. I didn't see what they picked up. It was a Zephyr, actually. And I think that's a really, really smart choice here. I think you need a Zephyr to kind of cheese around win to just buy you time to pray you hit 4 Silas's and, like, 6 rolls or whatever you have. Um,
Yeah,
and you need to win the game off of the back of that.
yeah, put your Zephyr on, throw the salt behind you, right? Do whatever you need to do for your superstitions, because this is rough. But the thing about thing about Zephyr that's really awesome for someone like Kardax or anyone in 7th and 8th place in this situation is you can equalize the first section of the fight. And hopefully someone has died, so when the Zephyr ends, it's a 7v7. And
Mm.
that's going to be the goal here. And I think with Last Kardax and the Aphelios and the Hunter procs, that should happen. But that is a Jin in
Yeah,
the background.
two
We'll see
gens.
two
Even.
Jins in the background. One Dusk, one with a Deathblade. We're actually one Jin away from Jin 3.
Yeah. Wonder whose board that is. You don't see it because it is a clone army here. The last Kardax will indeed be falling, unfortunately. In okay, 6th place, which honestly we take those if we're last Kardax.
Yeah.
Like kind of a high roll.
Hey, you know what? I eat food off the floor. Wait.
Hey, it
It's
happens.
still
If
food.
you
It's still good.
yeah, 5-second
Especially if
roll, you know.
exactly. God, I would be an awful parent. Anyway, Gunmay is in 4th place. We've got Allie. I don't like being right sometimes when it comes to these players who, it's one of their first times here and I want them to be successful. But when we see that cultist comp in that specific position, this almost feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy
Yeah.
when it comes to Allie. And then we have Stelfalador, who has been honestly crushing it over the last couple rounds. And Stelfalador and Infernix, this top three have had a strong comp pretty much the entire game. It's going to be, I think, Gunmay being the spoiler here, if there is one. And it looks like, anytime you have a tier 2 Yone and it's got Thieves Gloves, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. A Yone can
Yeah.
carry an entire team with no synergies.
We said goodbye to Elderwoods, goodbye to Vigar, Gunmay said, and hello to these just strong units, right? Hello Riven 2 with 3 items. Kane as well, which has been in for a while and already transformed Zillion Lilia. Like this is the legendary composition with Adepts thrown in and the Riven there for some good synergies. Like this is solid. We are going to need to upgrade these legendaries to be able to win the lobby though. But Gunmay is holding out until he can achieve that.
This is actually very, very interesting because everyone is so very close. We have a tie for the bottom two. We finally get our items. 5 people remain at 6-1, and it can really be anyone's game. Infernix has a 2-round, maybe 1-round advantage as we get later on into the game. Allie and Gofab are potentially eliminated, most likely eliminated on their next loss at 6-1. So we got to start making some moves. We got to start getting our really good units in. Now we get our legendaries. As I say, we have a duelist Warwick, which is actually going to help that Lee Sin a lot. But it's the Set and the Zillion that I think are going to be the ones that win something for GoFab. And it's actually really interesting seeing
Yeah.
this. It doesn't really feel like a top 4 comp, but we're here in 5th place. We might be able to sneak in, and we're up against Gunmay.
Yeah, did Gunmay take the Chosen Thresh there? It doesn't look like ended up doing it. But yeah, GoFab's comp here, it's kind of just like, okay, I got through the mid game all right. Now I'm gonna buy units question mark that are okay, like this set too, and pray it carries me, but um okay, maybe? No, it's not gonna be enough at the end of the
It is
day.
is very rare for Yone to lose 1v1 or with a numbers advantage,
Yeah.
as GoFab will fall. And it looks like we've got our top 4 friends. Allie snuck in with that 13th,
Yeah.
Stelfalador at 12, Gunmay
Oh yeah.
23, and Infernix still at 42. This lobby is still
Man.
anyone's game. Looking over at Allie, we're completely away from cultists now. We're going into Adept instead, and I think we just got a little lucky in terms of who we were able to pick up.
Yeah, and lucky, I think in terms of our matchups, I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm like, who did Ali beat? Because this comp isn't like awful, right? Like I could see this winning, a couple of rounds, but I think most other players are stronger than this composition here. There's a Jin with a death cap, which is like, okay, the 4th shot's gonna, do a lot. The Teemo with 3 items there, but they're kind of just like, I have items, Teemo, carry them, please. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a loss going up against Gunmay here, but sneaking into the top 4 from that start from Ali is a feat in and of itself, and probably is in the back of some really good positioning, some really good
Mm,
Zephyr use, and
mhm.
some good mid game decision making there. So impressive, honestly, to get 4th with the way that game was looking like for Ali.
Yeah, pulled a little bit of a Numano. I feel like that was kind of Numano's shtick, not having a
Yeah,
very
a
good
little bit.
team comp at the end of the game and then getting second. It's like,
Mhm.
what is this magic that you are brewing there, Numana? Also, how weird is it for Hobos and Numana to like not be here right now?
Yeah, we were
They
so
were
like
here for
in that
so
like
long,
yeah.
like a third of
Wow.
the year. But it's good to see these new people bringing in the new year, and we've got the vets with Gunmay. We've got people who I think are going to be big in TFT, like Gangly. MrMeeSeeks has been around for a bit. Kardax is a wonderful
Yep.
streamer if you want to watch him. And if you do want to follow anyone on this broadcast, just hover your mouse over that screen and it'll pop up some options, and you can follow every single one of the casters and every competitor who is competing today. But back to the game, we got a Stag Shiv on that Azir, and then we've got some Lilia too. Our units are getting more expensive, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. If last Kardax ran that duelist comp in this lobby, we most likely see like a second, third, or fourth, in my opinion. But right now, we got some legendary comps and a top 3 that Yone 2 those scary.
Yeah, Yone too. One of the scariest units in the game. Maybe apart from like a Kane or something, but these compositions are looking real nice here. A lot of it comes down to positioning. Also for Stelfalador, it comes down to if we can hit the other Yodes, which probably not, seeing we only have one roll to do so, one roll to hit 2 Yodes, and yeah, we're not finding that. The Ashe, though, is doing a lot of work. Needs to continue to do so. We're on a 2-win streak. Need to position well enough. The Ezreal ulti is still honestly going to do a lot of work as well. Dazzler cutting through a whole team. Ezreal just being Ezreal as well, healing everybody, providing the attack speed buff, etc., etc. Um, yeah, we'll see how it's going to be going. Switching sides here at the end.
It's insane how much utility Ezreal brings to a team.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's good on
so
them
good.
for not making it mega oppressive, honestly. It used to be, but right
Yeah,
now it is
got
not, as that
balance.
Yone was unable to ult, and the Aatrox misses the Ashe on the flip. So in terms of targeting, in terms of positioning, this could be going
Oh
way better for Infernix, but no, the targeting for
wait,
the
Lux.
Ashe is so huge, and the Lux isn't able to ult in time. And because an Ashe didn't look at our friend, we end up in second place as we get a double elimination
Yeah.
to end things here as the OG Water Sprite picks up a W before we get to halftime.
Nice. I think a second's probably what what you're happy with that composition. Could have won that round maybe, but then the next would have been, harder and yada yada yada, yeah. But no, very impressively played by a lot of players here. I think that getting to that end game when you have those legendary units, um, you know, I guess complementing the rest of your comp, like that's the TFT. That's what's being played in the meta right now. Like that is kind of peak TFT. That is you being on beat in this rhythm game, right? Like no,
Mhm.
it's really good stuff. We're gonna have the scores in just a moment, if not right now, for everybody. And Infernix getting barely into fourth in game one, but now winning game number 2 as well, is now in first place with 16 points here. Last Kardax had a good start. Fell off a little bit though with a high roll 6th place, we'll call it, in that game. Is at 13 points. Gunmay and Stelfalador 11 apiece. But Boop, before we go into break, what are your thoughts on this so far? I know it's been a few weeks. We're getting back to the swing of TFT and things. Like, what are some things that you've noticed? Some things that stand out to you?
I mean, we're still getting variety until the very late game and those legendary, Bill Gates comps. And I love seeing that. I love seeing different comps win, as we saw Duelist comp take out a victory with Kardex there in that first lobby. And Infernix got it with a tier 1 Ashe, I believe. So that's
Yeah.
awesome for Infernix. And, it's crazy how at the very end you go through 30 to 45 minutes of a game. And what it comes down to is who your Ashe is targeting right now. And that's what that last lobby came down to.
Oh man, yeah. No, that fight was the Aatrox pull, the Ashe targeting, then getting CC'd and changing targets. It was like TFT comes down to those like really just like minute things and positioning in fights, and it all makes a difference there. And maybe if you had played a bit, say a bit better in the early mid game, you could have preserved enough HP towards that wouldn't have mattered. There's so many variables that all come into this, but really impressive stuff as we reach our halftime point. So we will have to go on a few minute break, but stick with us. We'll be back here soon for more Fight Night Rising. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising. And we're in the new year, and we're enjoying it right now with this amazing TFT action. Of course, it's not set 4.5 yet, a couple weeks, but it is okay because we're still getting some dope action, especially from the players that we've seen rise out on top after 2 games. Actually, want to quickly look at the scores if we can, just to get a bit of a refresher. We have Infernix on top with 16 points, less Kardax 13, Gunmay, Stelfalador with 11, Gangly with 10, MrMeeSeeks, and Alley with 8, and Gofab with 5. Everyone's still technically within the striking distance of
Mhm.
being victorious. We're going to see that start to narrow down as we get into and through game number 3 and into game number 4, though. But still got a bit of time for that. Boop, I'll ask you once again, just brief thoughts. Like, have you been enjoying the games? Anything else? If you thought of it more, what's been sticking out to you and stuff? I know there's a
You know,
variety, but yeah,
yeah. So I think one of like the overarching themes was coming in like, it's the accent, right? Like we've been playing PvE for so long, and honestly, coming back is kind of nice, right?
yeah,
It's just like it's familiar, and I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm talking about, and I think it's a little
for
bit
sure.
of a great way to kind of mentally wind down and prepare for the next set coming up. So
Hmm.
coming back, I was actually a little worried that it'd be a little bit, uh, you know, iffy because everyone's focusing on that PvE stuff, but I don't think that's been happening at all.
Yeah, no, I think we're still getting some really good action here. Like you don't, there's only been a few days of PP. You don't forget how to play, the previous set all entirely. Even if you've been dedicating time to that. But no, we have seen some really good stuff, and we've seen some variety. We saw like the first 2 games. What it was like the Z comp, and I'm blanking on the other comp now from game number 1. That was in the Duelist, right? Duelist, which ended up winning that game, and then we saw just a bunch of legendaries complementing the other standard strong comps like Ash and stuff. So we're seeing a bit of everything, which I do like. I will real quick give a reminder to everybody that this Twitch channel, Giant Slayer TV, will be rebranded Giant Slayer TFT soon. So if you want to tune in here, next week and subsequent weeks for Fight Night Rising, it will be on a slightly different channel, Giant Slayer TFT. The next show will also be Teamfight Talk Show, which will be a New Year's special, which will be on Wednesday the 13th at 6 p.m. PST. But now we go into game number 3 here on the perspective of Gangly. And Gangly, as we see right there, scores today 2 and 7, had a good start and then not so good start, but hopefully can bounce back here.
Yeah, he's a part of the dad meta, new dad, right? So, maybe haven't had a a lot of time, to climb as you're taking care of an alien, in the in the meantime. Am I an awful person, Crowan? I apparently don't like cats or babies,
Are
so
you an awful person? No. Do you have some, strong feelings towards selective things? Yes.
yeah,
And that's okay, boob. That is
thank
that is
you.
all right.
I appreciate it. But no, Gangly, I think is gonna be someone who slowly but surely I know has been working in the TFT space to be more involved in the community and just do good work. And it's really cool to see how that has transitioned over to actual competitive gameplay and not just content. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? Like I
Yeah.
think we have a lot of really good content creators in the TFT world, but in terms of crossover, I think like Soju and Aegon are the ones that can do both.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really hard to do. So seeing Gangly here and like starting that journey of attempting to do both is exactly where you want to be in that part of his career. And if you guys are listening, right, and you're wondering how do I get involved, you do what Gangly did. You make content, you push your content. It's a lot of hard work, and people start seeing it. You play, you come on Fight Night Rising, you never know what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're not much for content either, you just push your rank, get to that diamond and master tier, sign up for Fight Night Risings and be here. Like we've seen new players, get to that master tier, kind of be like, all right, I'll sign up, I'll see what I got, and do well. Maybe like even
Mhm.
return for a week, win some money too. And that's what Fight Night Rising is really all about, giving that platform, giving the space to some older players, right? But a lot of new and upcoming ones who can
Mhm.
challenge those old ones. Like that's the key, right? You
Yep.
get to play against those really good players, so you get that super good experience moving forward in your TFT kind of career here. And
Totally.
looking at Gangly here, like there is the potential. We saw it, game number 1. And, again, hopefully we'll see it again here, game number 3.
Mhm. Starts off with a loss. That's okay. You're looking at a Moonlight plus a Nunu. There are very few comps that are going to be able to beat that at this stage of the game.
Yeah,
We
super,
we
super
have
strong right there.
we have the Hodge on the Silas, and Silas is like one of those hidden power early game units. It's usually not. I feel like when you see Moonlight, most people have experienced the Diana version. A lot of people have moved away from that and started to use Silas as one of the other Moonlights, as you can level up one more level without really screwing over your chances of tier 3ing it, as
Yeah.
we actually saw that happen last last game where they never tier 3 that Silas. But the Hodge shows it's just going to be an item holder. And going back just real quick to that last point and why I love TFT so much, I think in a lot of fields, it's really hard to be friends with your competition. But I think in TFT, this is a community where it's very collaborative and competitive, and that's just really cool, right? Everyone can kind of put their egos away and work together and play together and put these lobbies, like in Flurrier's lobbies,
Yeah.
for example. That stuff really, really makes me happy. And I think we're starting to see the products of some of our leaders in the community who did set up good communities with themselves
Oh, yeah.
coming up into the TFT world and showing up now. And that's really, really cool in terms of where we are in the stage of TFT and how we're going to maintain that player base. It's obviously happening at all levels of play, not just at the beginning because of mobile, but also at the top tier.
Oh, definitely. I think it's such a good point as well. Just the community. Just I guess like quickly going on this aside here, but like TFT is a game where everyone's just kind of like chilling. Everyone's just kind of like friends. We're all making content together and
Yeah.
stuff. Like all the players are all hanging out and stuff. Just giving each other like good advice, like coaching each other all the time as well. And I think that's huge, actually. People being willing to like coach each other, give advice,
Mhm.
because TFT is not a game where it's like just one sided play. There's so many different styles of play, so you can learn a lot from everybody, and you learn a lot better not only just watching them but actually having their feedback and stuff like that. So you get a lot of
Mhm.
that in the TFT community. A bunch of people do coaching. If you're here watching saying I want to get better too, I want to get coached, like people offer coaching as well, so
Yep.
you can definitely look into that as well. And I think there's even like in the official TFT Discord, there's some people who like set up coaching and stuff there. I don't know exactly. I've never looked honestly, but I've
Well,
just
and then
heard
you've
that.
got like Master Keen, right? Keen's if you go to
Yeah,
Keen's Twitter, like you become a better TFT player,
me and Master
right?
Keen.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's some
yeah,
really really
like
good like digestible content. Like
and easy to read, very very layman's in terms of explanation, but in terms of content, actually pretty big brained.
yeah,
Uh,
A plus content,
Very
S plus
talented
content. Like
in terms of that's very hard to do. But anyway, we're at 2-4, and the reason why we talk over that beginning stages, in case anyone is curious, is because the early game is the early game, right?
yeah,
We've
it's
already
whatever.
belabored a lot of the early game points in the first two lobbies, but now we've gotten to our carousel. We're starting to fill out those items, and we can start really seeing the true power of these comps. And now that we can take the macro, right? We see a couple people at 80 HP. 88 is like all right. 82 is moderately low for where we are. So you can take a look at that as we have a bunch of people passively leveled to 5, and let's see where we go from here, Gangly, because I think some people would actually move out of Moonlight at this point, but he's gonna stick to it with
Yeah,
chosen Lysandra.
I kind of like the Moonlight committal here from Gangly. You already have a Zeeks, which is so good, maybe even imperative for the Aphelios later on in the game. Not to put it on the Aphelios, right? But to have it buffing the Aphelios on a side by side unit. Also having the Moonlight chosen Lysandra with that Dazzler buff, getting another Dazzler is going to be huge late game. If you have to have like a Diana, it's Diana is kind of a whatever unit. She's not really that great anymore, unfortunately for Moonlight, Diana lovers. But you only need 2 Moonlight units, right? And you're going to be able to get those good items for the Aphelios as well. You already have a sword there. You can run BT. I've seen some various items like Giant Slayer, Hodge, BT, QSS, and we have the makings of some of those already, as well as the Zeeks as well. Just a good start here, I think.
Okay, and you can lose early on in Moonlight. I think
Yeah.
am a like instant gratification person. So if I don't get my like 6 Lysandras by 2-3, I'm like, I don't know about this anymore. Um,
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go to 5 next round as well, like, but that's okay. You still like roll. You're okay to roll like 5 or even 6, honestly, for it. So it's not too big of a deal there. You'll probably like eventually find it The unfortunate thing is it is being contested, as we see here, by MrMeeSeeks, at least a little bit. There's only 3 Lissandras out, which isn't a big deal, but, still, every Lissandra matters, in terms of, being out of the pool.
And even if it's a one-cost unit, if it's getting contested, it's just going to take potentially twice 1.5 or twice as long in order to get to your power spike, and you slow each other down. So both people are weaker because you had the same idea. Usually, when it comes to contesting, one person gets just a little bit luckier sometimes in terms of their roles, and are able to kind of eat the other player like a shark in the womb, right?
Yeah.
Old school Zed players, I think, know this very, very well. Like when Zed was meta, right? How to compete for those Zeds, and understanding how to use power levels of units that how to like overcome bad power levels and kind of pick off wins that you maybe don't deserve.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that players are starting to identify what those things are. It's usually items, I feel like, that can change I mean, an item can destroy a brawler comp, right?
Yep.
So uh it's very interesting to see how people are starting to use these items. And again, in that rhythm situation and where they drop it in terms of tempo, we do have a spat.
Yeah.
And a bloodthirster. We could do Elderwood, we could do Divide, and unfortunately for Gangly, none of that really matters for us. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see Infernix as well. It's interesting to kind of go bottom to top at this stage in the game, because you're going to see wildly different power levels regardless of where we are, right? Our last place player might just hit their Yasuo 3 like Kardax did and then win the lobby. And so again, it's a little bit of a mirage. It's moderately accurate at this point in the game, but it is a little bit of a mirage, especially with 5 people over 90 HP.
Yeah. Okay, looking at this play from Gingley here, slamming the QSS on the Aphelios, I dislike it because the QSS doesn't really do much at this point in the game. You're not really going to be CC'd by many units, right? You're not going to be going up against many, if any at all, adepts right now. Maybe someone has a Shen like randomly, but that's going to be a super high roll if they do, let alone playing it. So you don't have to worry about that, and you just don't have the damage, right? Like, look at these units. You didn't even get to go through the whole GA there and get any damage onto those just like 1-star no item units there. The damage doesn't
Mhm.
exist. I would have rathered something like either saving the sword for like a giant slayer, or even just slamming the BT right there. Maybe not the BT because you do eventually want the QSS, right? It's just not going to do too much for you at this point in the game right now.
I'm
Moving forward off of yeah, sorry,
honestly,
go ahead.
based off of his camera there, I think we're panicking a little bit. So we'll see if we are able to overcome that. Like the animation in his face, all the, like the hand movement is stopped right now. So usually when you see a player like that, they start making unforced errors, and maybe that QSS was a part of that. Maybe the itch to get an item on and slam something to give
Yeah.
ourselves a little bit of a chance is the reason why we put it. And yeah, it's dodge, right? But our power level isn't strong enough to compete anyway, right? So instead of being a little bit more flexible, waiting for carousel, since we lose anyway, right? We committed an item and are just not using its stats because we're losing.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, exactly that. It's just a unfortunate scenario to be in when you don't have items that you want to slam, but then you slam items that are good, just not at this point. I'm thinking about the rhythm game analogy, and I'm saying it's like more and more true as I think about it
Yeah,
in
maybe
terms of
I
everything that I'm saying.
made
Like
too quick of an
it's
because
actually it's actually so nice.
maybe I made too quick of a judgment because I'm like, no, I'm a music major. I would know because I'm an awful person, as discussed before. Um, So, I think it actually is very apt now that
Yeah.
we're like I think I maybe needed to, like, cast it instead of play it, because playing it's such a different, like, mentality and how you look at the game.
Oh yeah.
When casting, like, we get to just chill and watch, right? And so it's more than that, guys, but, when it comes to this rhythm situation, like I think it's just really good to think of it as a concept for TFT, if that's the type of brain you have, right? To say, okay, there is a peak moment. There's gonna be a climax when it comes to this particular comp, and if we miss it, if we forget to play our fortissimo, right, the impact just will not be there. And
Yeah.
we've seen that a couple times. And I think in terms of team comps, at home, you see that with Warlords all the time, especially in the late game, right? You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, where's that impact?" Right? Well, you gotta hit exactly where that goes, and these players know that, but the best players know the exact beat, whereas I think some of the upcoming players are kind of just slightly early or slightly late. They still have to get that polish in. And so there's another apt kind of metaphor for that rhythm game as well.
Definitely. Gangly lost another round, went to 48. Seeing, I was gonna talk about the Warwick that was on the carousel there. It had a sword. I was gonna see how long in the carousel that lasted, and it was picked up very, very quickly by Infernix. Curious to see if that's going to be kept or not. But for now, Stelfalador does pick up upgraded Lulu here. Still has the Silas going to be tier 2'd because of that Moonlight buff, and is just an item carrier for now. As soon as that Silas is upgraded into tier 2, though, getting it to tier 3 is going to be huge, huge mid game power spike.
Silas can be tanky and is one of the few mana reavers in the game. If you guys don't remember mana reavers, it's affecting the cast time, so it's like Shroud of Stillness,
Yep.
and Silas's ult does that, and it's one of the few in the entire game. And when you're able to ult a couple times, it can be really frustrating, especially if your Silas gets in the face of someone like a Philios, right, who absolutely needs those turrets down, but one or two auto attack delay, you're dead instead.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the effect that it can have, is we're starting to see Gangly switch over to that Ash.
I mean, yeah, switch over maybe is a strong term. I mean, you run it for
Fair.
hunters, but there's still a lot of committal into those Moonlight units there. There was there was more Silas's. Yeah, now a tier 2 Silas is achieved. There's more Lysandras, and actually, I think trolled a little bit last round because had a tier 1 Silas in, so the Philios didn't get buffed to tier 3. And also these components, while 2 Zeeks is good, right? You have to get really lucky at this point actually to get optimal items for your Aphelios, and he's still sitting on no damage items right now. The attack speed's there, sure, but there's no extra attack damage, so those hunter procs are gonna be not quite powerful enough. Maybe for this round, sure, because you're going up against another level 6 player who's saving all of their gold, but it was still close regardless, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's a tricky spot to be in if you're gang lead. You have on the last 2 rounds though, so just want to highlight that and know that there's still a lot more that needs to happen for gang lead to be strong. Kind of harping on it, I guess, but because like there's just such key decisions that like impact the whole rest of the game because of that though.
Okay, I think, yeah, Gangly has an uphill climb for sure. Even again, you might say, oh, he's won two rounds. This is the start of something special. And I'm here to tell you, probably not until we get some items, right? So I'd love to switch over to
Okay, yeah, we're gonna
Allie after this
yeah.
um, NPC round, as we do get. Oh, we get a bow.
Yeah,
We get a
Galen's gonna
skull.
pivot. Galen sold the Philios and sold Lysandra on bench there, so it's a pivot for sure. Which, yeah,
Hmm.
I think that's probably gonna what is gonna need to happen here. The spat
Oh,
items are still not
right.
great though. Like, ugh.
Ugh. Well, we
It
will.
feels
Yeah, we will check back in on Gingley
sure.
when we get the chance. And I did hear from a little birdie that our cat friends are named Jinx and Ari. Unfortunately,
Ooh.
have been taken away and set for now. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, not like this.
But yo, I would sleep in that. Just,
It
just
looks comfy. It looks
Alex,
comfy.
comfy, man. Anyway, I have a little bit of a problem, I think. I don't know if you can see my hand is like up blocking the square on the
You're doing
side.
your best, Boop. You're doing
I'm
your best.
trying, man. I'm trying. You see how focused I was? And we get to Allie and the cats pop up, and I'm like, oh my god, still doing it. And MrMeeSeeks now with the Nikos on the bench, 40 gold versus the 12 gold for Allie, who is investing to continue to win. We have 4 spirit, which is something that we don't see very often, and 2 sharpshooters. So the sharpshooters will be benefiting from that spirit buff, but it's just a Teemo with a Hodge and a Jinx 1 with an IE. And anytime you see items spread like that, that means the power is spread too.
Yeah.
With our Yumi being kind of our item carrier for our Zeeks and our Locket, but we want to see this power consolidated on somebody. This is not enough damage to do a lot really right now. You're going to need some really awesome attack speed buffs from your Spirit and your Yumi, and
Yeah.
hopefully some luck as well, as we're going
Oh.
up against a tier. I actually think this is winnable. We'll see
Okay.
what happens here.
Tier 3 Vayne. Vayne being a carry is not something that is super traditional. It can work out, however, and it looks like it will this round. I don't know, the Spirit, no, it won't actually. Allie is gonna reign victorious. I spoke too soon there. The Vayne is a dream that I like want to see work, but oftentimes it just doesn't, especially with no real items besides just the rune right now. It's really just not enough. 4 sharpshooters is great. The frontliner isn't really there right now. Allie's composition, while it does lack damage, as you were just saying a little bit, is the IE Jinx. It's still going to be enough with that Chosen Yumi. Chosen Yumi is very strong in the early to mid game, I suppose, and having a locket and chalice on it as well. Like those heals and attack speed buffs that's going to be giving is huge, and the attack speed buff that Spirit gives as well, even if they're on units that don't really have any more items, or even if it's just like the kindred too there, it's still going to do a lot of work at this stage of the game. It's going to fall off very heavily once we get to stage 5, however, but yeah, it's good for now.
Eventually, this comp becomes like death by a million paper cuts.
Yeah,
Right? You get like
that's a
the
good way to describe it. Yeah.
sharpshooter stuff, and if you don't die, then eventually you just win the war of attrition, right? Which actually
Mhm.
kind of happened here.
Yep,
And
exactly.
so because of like the spirit buff, yeah, we're going to be on fire. But again, at 5-3, is this going to be the same situation, especially if the strongest spirit uh buff potential with Ari, right? Most inconsistent spirit, but once you do get that ult off, that spirit bomb off, you're attacking quite fast. But are we going to stick to this? Are we going to stick to the mystic? Are we going to invest even more mystics? Where are we going to go from here? Because you're going to be spreading that healing. You're not going to be consolidating that power for now. So you have to find damage from a bunch of different sources. And right now it's working, but we'll see in a couple of rounds.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be sticking with this, of course, the Force Spirit. That's something that we saw, way, way long ago with some shades and Zed and stuff, but probably no longer. We are gonna put a Thresh in, a couple of Vanguards, Thresh 2. No Dusk, however, though, which is still okay. It's a nice free synergy when you're able to put it in, but won't be able to for now. 5-win streak, which I would have thought that this composition might have lost to like 1 or 2 comps right now. Sure, it's like good right now. It will fall off.
Mm,
Um, there's no one else that's really that much stronger in the lobby. Like looking at the HPs in this lobby, it's a bit different than what we've seen in previous games. A lot of people are low with like 34 to 45 range.
yeah. I was about to say it when Ali was scouting there.
Yeah.
I noticed that one of the strongest boards in the game is an Azir 1. Right, so
Yep.
it is just in terms of power level, this is when you would be running duelists and being really good at it, right? This allows Gangly time to get stronger, right? Because the rest of the lobby isn't pushing it down. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
now, because everyone has time, Gangly gets a little bit of respite. Ali gets a little bit of respite because these stereotypically mid-game comps are lasting. You're getting more value, more bang. It's like we're at TJ Maxx right now.
Yeah.
Right, and, you like this is, like, one of my favorite analogies as a caster. You know how they have that bargain bin? You, like,
Yep.
stick in, right? And if you're Ally, you take it out, and oh my god, it's a $5 Coach bag. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, like, what's happened here is
Oh yeah.
the value has exceeded the team comp, but no one cares because 'cause you're still winning, right? Oh,
Yeah. No,
you just
it's
yeah,
like
you lost that last round, but still.
sure. You're still at 71 HP, like second place with this comp right now, which is great. Like you can level up to 8 if you want to on 5-1. Maybe you can greed until 5-2 if you're feeling, a little extra spicy. But I think you can in a game like this just because the power levels of a lot of people's compositions are just, so weak.
And people are really
Um,
fishy too, not very strong front lines in this
yeah.
game. Like, that Sedge and Thresh is probably one of the stronger front lines right now.
Oh, yeah. And relating that to, the kinda like the but going back to the rhythm once again, so TFT in each meta has its own rhythm that you have to follow, but in that, there's also like a second track, like, layered on it, which is each game, and you have to match both of those, right? You have to be wary of the pacing in terms of the meta, as well as each game, because this game pacing is actually super different than the vast majority that we'll see during the end of this, set 4 here before we go into set point 5. Everyone's weak. Everyone's kind of greeting it out, trying to go to level 8 and then roll down. Usually we have a couple of people doing each, not everybody all, doing that one thing. So you got
Mhm.
to be very aware of moments like that. And it looks like, I'm gonna keep harping on it a bit, but Allie is very, very aware of that right now and is making it work to their advantage super, super, super well.
Well,
Especially with the transition here as well into finding a Jin and Sejuani 2 and stuff.
and I think that Yumi has created a couple like off tank bruiser types, right? With her with her ult, it's a heal and the attack speed gets higher, plus the spirit buff, right? And so you're going to be lasting a little bit longer. And again, when you're running a death by paper cuts type of comp, you need to live as long as possible. And when no
Yeah.
one is running a front line, no one's going through your front line, and now we're starting to see these front lines come into fruition. But we got really good rolls with that Yone, that Sejuani too. We're
Mhm.
going to be able to take a lot of that down, but we're looking at a QSS Hodge Ash in the back line with Gofab, and that's always going to be a threat. Is it going to be
Yeah.
enough?
The set came back and is alive and punching right now, but the Yumi is able to do so much work keeping everybody alive. I almost switch over to like the healing tab there and just see how much Yumi has done in that regard. I was going to be for a moment like questioning, oh, maybe the Yumi should have been sold, maybe just look for a better one to win the lobby. But I think if you're in Ali's position, if you identify that the rest of the lobby is, so low, like 38 and below HP, you can just keep that Yumi and just outlast everybody because not all of them are, if many of them at all are going to be able to just like live in this lobby full win streak out and not be in danger of just getting one shot to another bad matchup because every one of those bottom 5 players, bottom 6 players even, is going to be trying to do the same thing, spending a lot of money to get a lot stronger. Kardax did that, right? He's on the top end of that, being in 3rd place right now. Set 2 zillion 2, great, right? Last Kardax might be one of the 2 people to get out of that clean, but not everybody will. So going back to Ali's decision making there, I agree with it there. I think you can outlast most people in this lobby.
Yep, I actually totally agree, and I love being able to like change my mind during the process
Mhm.
of a couple rounds, right? Because
Ooh.
it's not something, the Mystic is not something you see every day, but that Yumi was straight up carrying for 3 rounds there as Gofab actually going to take down Kardax, and so going to be a little bit harder than before. But this is the other really crazy thing about how lobbies happen like this. I'm sure you guys have found yourselves in these situations where all of a sudden everyone's at the same power level.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've all made it to 5-3. Everyone's had access to pretty much the same units. Everyone's at level 7 or 8 right now. And Gunmay and Allie have developed such a lead. And even if they have even a little underpowered comp, they're still going to be more likely to finish in the top 4. Last Kardax and the rest of the crew are all fighting over the same units, pretty much, right? The power level is going to be split between them. Once we see some people getting eliminated, that's when we can see our 5th and 6th place
Yep.
members start getting really, really strong. Last Kardax definitely looking very strong with the Jin, the Zill. We're very close to that Bill Gates. And we went from having no power in the front to having more power in the front than most people as we get to do some setups in the back line. This is patience paying off
Yeah.
for Kardax, and I think it's going to end up working out as Gunmay also losing. So Ali, I believe
Man.
still with that Mystic,
Yeah.
with that cat is showing us something we've actually never seen before with that Yumi.
The cats, that's their calling here. It's gonna be cats, the Yumi
Oh
carrying
yeah, I
super.
totally forgot. I didn't even make that connection. You're so smart. That's why I keep you around.
Oh man, thanks, Boop.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're
You
welcome.
get distracted by them. I look for the deeper meanings here. I gonna be going the
That's
cat
nice.
comp.
Yeah, the cat.
No, but it's still good, and Gunmay is kinda playing it similarly as well. We saw Gunmay with a pretty weak board, did lose a couple times, now he's at 44 HP, but I believe Gunmay was going to level 9. I actually wanna check in with, Gunmay soon and see, once he goes to 9, if he's gonna be rolling for that, legendary chosen and things of
Ooh,
the sort, because it looked like that's what he was doing. Had a cane as well to be able, yeah, okay, that's what he's doing right now. He leveled to 9, is rolling down, finds some upgrades here. Did not actually end up finding a 5 cost chosen, nor did he find a cane pair either. So that rolled down. I don't know how much money Gunmay had to roll down. I'd actually be super curious and like going and looking at his VOD and checking it out. But whatever it was, it did not work out well.
we ended up not just not getting a 5 cost chosen, we just don't have a chosen. And
Yeah.
at this point in the game, you might be able to pick off a win, but that power level has decreased so much because of that. Next round might be totally different. but we're gonna have to sell
Ooh.
some units to buy a 15 cost unit, right? So
Yep.
we're gonna have to make some decisions here very quickly. We did see someone pick up a tier 2 Kane a little earlier. GoFab Falls. Man, everyone is
Oof.
their placements are like random today. It's pretty insane. Gangly at 1 HP. We do find the
Okay.
chosen 5 cost. It's going to be Lee Sin. In terms of chosen 5 cost, it's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you gotta take it, right? You just sold your Jinx 2, your Vayne 2. You gotta pick up something, right? You can't be too picky right now. And I think that's yeah, it's a good one to end up on here. Going to put the Zeeks on Azir, which doesn't buff anything else. Gunmay, a little bit of a misplay there, but hopefully it won't be too big of a deal going up against Allie right now. We did have a couple eliminations as well, actually. Stelfalador going out in 8th and Gofab in 7th. Gangly narrowly hanging on with 1 HP right now. Looks like Gunmay might be losing once again, though. It's
Yeah,
close.
Azir
No,
ult
actually, okay.
that Azir ult is very interesting because a lot of people forget that it pushes you back, so you need time to walk back up to the unit and start attacking again, plus you're slowed. It's actually very similar to Teemo Shrooms if you think about it in how that wall functions. From last set, which is it pushes you back. That's the difference. But
Yep.
what's the same is the slow and the movement that you're going to have to go through in order to get to your units. And that's always going to be tough to work through, especially when you have that Zeeks and Rageblade, which means that push is going to be happening very frequently. So it can be very frustrating getting to those Azirs in the backline, which is why you
Yep.
see frequently that they're the last units.
Yep.
That's why, if you guys have ever been curious, and look at the lobby. Khroen and I talked about it. At this point in the game, when there's no one who is an outright leader, the rest of the lobby will end up catching up and evening out the power level. And look at the HP right now.
Yep. Oh boy. Yeah. Gangly out in 6th there. Ezreal 2 has been picked up for Gunmay. Azir 2 as well, actually. This is really huge. Finding both of those upgrades right now. Gunmay narrowly won the last round, but right now he's a lot stronger. Is going to be able to have another item as well, as everyone does from that last PvE neutral round. The Azir soldiers leveling up as well, giving more frontline. I think the
Ooh,
locket goes on the Lee Sin here. Yeah, it does. And Titan's probably awesome Lee Sin. It could go on the the Riven actually. It's only Riven 1 though. Actually, randomly enough, has not found a Riven 2. So, but it's still a decent item for her, regardless.
I think we're looking at possibly two of the stronger comps in the lobby right now, and that's actually crazy how strong Gunmay is
Yeah,
right now. Versus because
those hits were huge from last
I
round.
believe Kardax has 3 or 4 tier 2 5 cost units, and they just got chewed through
Oh,
by maybe not the tier
the
2
set.
set. I mean, man, it's Ab Day, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Oh boy. It was so low too, but the Hodge and the Gunblade means that the healing is gonna be there if you're able to get an ulti off. And it hit everybody around and just kind of wiped the board there. Gunmay looks so strong in that fight though, if it wasn't for that set.
And so so what's
Okay,
next?
yeah.
Right?
Riven's getting out of there. I think this is probably a good play. If it's Riven 2, sure, you keep it always, but you can still put in Dusk with a Lilia. Lilia, a good unit, and you get to transfer all the items over to a Yone, and you very well can find a Yone 2 as well soon. So I like the swap a lot by Gunmay.
We're going to get some eliminations here very shortly, as everyone has a chance at this point. Allie only at 35 HP. We had assumed that this might be one of our longer lobbies based off of those power levels, and that is ringing true. MrMeeSeeks is going to fall victim to one set ult, but Gunmay is going to be taking the damage instead, as that's the Riven 2
Yeah.
he's been looking for with best in slot items.
Yeah, MrMeeSeeks there actually had a really good Dusk comp. There was the Dusk Jin, which is so strong. There was a tier 2 legendary as well. I actually forget which one it was offhand, but as well as the Chosen Riven. So everything is in place there to be a fantastic comp for MrMeeSeeks. And Phoenix has been eliminated, so we now do have our top 4. Now Gunmay finds the Yone too, so it's still just getting stronger and stronger as the rounds go on. Of course, everybody else is as well, but I think the rate at which Gunmay is getting stronger is going to be faster here. Ali still at 35 HP, Kardax 31 on a win streak, but MrMeeSeeks and Gunmay potentially 1 HP or 1 hit, 1 loss from being eliminated.
Okay, so we're getting into the nitty-gritty right now, where when you lose, you're gonna get punched like right in the gut. You're gonna be losing a lot of HP, and I think Allie is very close to losing a good amount of HP. That Lee Sin is alive somehow. Oh, where did Set go? Okay.
Oh man.
It's like that cartoon
Yeah.
where, like, situation where you like throw things up and it just doesn't fall back down.
Yep. Very
Right?
much
That's
so what
exactly
that
what.
was was.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. I love TFT. Those little things like that give me like joy still, even if like they're bugs, like taunting the bench still makes me laugh for
Yeah.
some reason. Like I love that stuff. It's part of the charm,
It's like
right? Like
yeah, it's inconsequential, whereas like it's not game breaking or anything. It's just like little like fun, like neat little
uh
quirks, I guess
or
that TFT has.
my favorite is if Riven does her last slash and gets knocked up at the same time,
Oh yeah, she'll go
she will
flying.
she'll go and it'll affect her ult, which is super unfortunate as it takes forever for her to get onto the ground. Uh the
True.
coding the coding must be really interesting because I think everyone's actually in the same arena right now at the same time. So I'd be interested to see how that works. I'd love to get like a behind the scenes look at that kind of stuff. Like what do
Yeah.
we see that we kind of like take for granted that's actually really hard to code that we're like, why
Mhm.
isn't this more? You know what I mean? So that'd
Yeah.
be super cool.
Okay, Gunmay actually opting to move both Ludens over to Ezreal 2 and then GA onto the Lee Sin. This might actually be stronger as well. As opposed to having them, I believe it was on the Kane, which he sold. Is strong enough to beat last Kardax though, because last Kardax is really, really strong right now. Yone chosen even.
Yone Chosen is absolutely that is what nightmares are made out of. But well, so Yone is gonna die on the other side. So our Yone, oh, look at look at how cool he looks when he moves. Doesn't even need to move his feet. That's the what I'm talking about. That's the charm. Love
Yeah.
it. Just looks so like nonchalant, like he's gonna do a backhand slap instead.
Yep.
The double Ludens though on the Ezreal is intriguing. We get some Dusk in, but we're straight into legendary comps right now as MrMeeSeeks finishes in fourth.
Yeah. Gunmay beat last Kardax. Allie beat MrMeeSeeks in that round. Allie getting a Jhin upgrade as well here, which is huge, I think, as Jhin is one of her main carries right now. So that's pretty fortunate. We're going to be seeing last Kardax versus Gunmay once again. Let's see how the matchup goes this time, if it goes any
Mhm.
different.
Sometimes those like ghost matchups go oddly. So we'll see what this PvP round is going to look like. A pretty nice Sejuani ult to stop that Yone, but this is exactly what happened last time, pretty much. And the Yone was able to overcome, but the disarm actually is a pretty big deal there, giving them a little bit of an opportunity. That was a lot closer than the last round, but it
Oh
still looks
yeah.
like Gunmay is going to take it. Kardax is going to be eliminated with a very good comp in hand. We're at
Ooh.
6-7. I mean, if you don't have a good comp at 6-7, you're doing something wrong. But
Yeah.
the overarching theme is this particular map was a marathon, and
Oh,
Ali
for sure.
and May, who were actually in front almost all this
Yep.
time, that lead they built, that 40 HP lead over Kardax, who finishes in third, ends up being just enough.
Yeah. I was gonna say that actually what I was talking about earlier exactly came into fruition. If you're Ally and Gunmay, you can just outlast everybody else, and they end up doing just that. Both of them are still 1 and 2. Of course, they're tied in HP right now, but last Kardex, who was third, who did have a chance and very well could have surpassed them, narrowly didn't because of the HP differential there.
Mm.
I think from what I remember, unless Ally has made a lot of upgrades as opposed to just that Jhin, Gunmay may end up being stronger, especially now with the Lily upgrade and Zillion upgrade. Like this is what 6 legendary units all
Mhm.
upgraded right now for
Yep.
Gunmay.
Good old Lillian. Am I right? I cannot wait until next set and people start building carry Garen so we can call it Karen. Just gonna put that out into the world. Gunmay,
Oh
here we go.
no.
1v1 to rule them all, both at level 9, both have pretty good comps. We've got that set in the back line for Ali that is asleep, but everyone is asleep on the field. Is a little bit of a siesta right now on our TFT board. Beautiful Ezreal ult, more so I think for that healing, and Ali is looking like they are going to fall. Ends up
Yeah.
outlasting a lot of people, but not Gunmay. And Gunmay are really setting themselves up for that top 3. Very intrigued to
Oh
see
yeah.
after this 7-1 lobby where everyone is going to go. And it's always good to see Gunmay. And remember, he's under the weather. He's not feeling that great and still producing. And you got to always give props for people
Yeah.
overcoming stuff like that.
Definitely. Still, at the heart of it, Gunmay is a competitor, and he's still, showing what he got right here, regardless of the conditions. And Gunmay is actually narrowly going to pull into first place with that. Allie jumping up into the top 4 as well with that placement, being at 16. Infernix and last Kardax tied for second right now at 20 points. This is, not quite as close as we saw last week, but still between the top 3, this is very, very, very narrow. There is still a possibility for MrMeeSeeks or Gangly to hop up in the top 3 there, but it's going to be a super, super narrow window.
Gofab, unfortunately, is mathematically eliminated.
Yeah.
Technically, Stelfalador is not, but he's going to need a lot of help. He's not in control of their own destiny.
Yeah.
Allie, however, I believe is. Allie is going to have to play the game of
Mhm.
her life in this next lobby. And honestly, that last game we played was mega clean,
Yeah.
super clean, much better than that Cultist game that we saw her play before halftime. So, and anytime we see someone go 268 or someone who consistently gets better, they tend to continue
Yeah.
that into that 4th round. And also, again, I always say this. It started out as a joke. I said, whoever comes into this 4th lobby in first place will get 8th or 7th. And it's actually happened, I believe, 6 or 7 weeks in a row.
It's
at,
happened a lot for
at this
sure.
point in
Yeah.
time, it feels like 6 or 7 weeks in a row. I like hobos being eliminated and not winning a couple times because of it. So
Yeah.
you have to maintain, and this is where I think the sickness, it's getting late or early for
Yeah,
Gunmay right
Gunmay's,
now.
Gunmay's an EU. It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, Gunmay's, I say it lovingly, a well-known degenerate in terms of staying up into the, with the NA people when it's late for them, let alone late in where he is. So, Gunmay's used to this. Of course, being
Yeah.
under the weather, it might, pile on and
Mhm.
stuff. But interesting thing that you said as well, Boop. Alluding to those scores again before we get into the game. Allie is not the only person who has gotten better in their placements, going, 7th, and then it was 4th, and then 2nd. Gunmay is on the same thing. Gunmay went from 5th to 3rd to 1st. Now, the person who's leading oftentimes has a little bit of a choke. What was it? Oh, I forget the word. Wait, don't remind
The
me.
yips.
Is the
I got
yips?
to. I have to. I love that word so
I
much. I
actually
have to use it. The
Yeah,
yips.
might get a little bit of the yips here. But maybe it's like, you can subtly improve without improving like too much. You gotta like set yourself up to not, peak too early, but to still finish game 4 strong. And hopefully for Gunmay's sake, we'll be able to, because we love seeing some Gunmay here. And I'm sure Gunmay loves competing here as well. That's why he's been a returning member of the cast for so long. Took a
Mhm.
break, but now we're seeing him again.
Yeah, actually, we haven't mentioned the fact that he had a 13-week run at one point in
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
He was the original main
And
cast.
yeah, it was. Definitely one of them. Maybe like back way in the inception of it, like Faye.
Yeah.
But then definitely like definitely Gunmay had a way longer run throughout like when Fight Night is kind of like stabilized.
Mhm.
But no, definitely. And
The 3-week
what was I gonna
curse has been
say
around
too?
for a while, though.
Yeah,
So that is
definitely.
a true thing that happens a lot. And I think 3 weeks is a very, it makes sense that that's kind of where people start petering out, to
Yeah,
me. In terms of recreatable success, anything more than that, I think is just impressive. 3 weeks is where that's kind of like the line of where the great players, I think, can start. They played so many games. Maybe this is just the day they had a couple too many bad games, right? Just because they've played so many. There's more time to mess up and blah blah blah. But um Gunmay being here for 13 weeks is gonna be very hard to break. I think the second most is I like Hobos and Sphinx and Numano both at 6 or 7 weeks.
yep.
And then really that's it. In terms of, I think Faye has a 5-weeker, and I think that's about it. To be completely honest with you, so these are
Yeah.
like legends. Gunmay is a legend in the Fight Night Rising
Oh, for
community,
sure.
to say the least.
Definitely. And when Gunmay originally like came back from the hiatus, Gunmay didn't have he had a couple of like not so hot performances, right? But now it looks like very much Gunmay is back into the swing of things. Kind of like opposite of the play style, not play style, but opposite of the trends before, because usually Gunmay had like first place, and then like a couple of poor placements, or first place, and then like a a fourth, and then maybe like an eighth or seventh or something like that. But now Gunmay is ramping up. He's getting bottom four, but then slowly getting better as the night goes on. So I actually like that change a bit for Gunmay. I wonder if that's like a mentality thing or just a coincidence. I have no idea, but regardless, it's good seeing Gunmay back on the top. But right now, we are looking at MrMeeSeeks. And how many points MrMeeSeeks had? Let me check. Yeah, 14 points coming into this game. So still within striking distance of top three, potentially top four. A bit, a bit more likely to get into if they play well. But the route is still there for a top three here for Mr. Meesink.
100%. 3 points is not a lot. It's just this is the last lobby. Everyone kind of knows what they have to do. And actually, this is one of the few times where, someone like Allie is like, I have to beat these people. Last week it was like, let's see what happens
Yeah,
in this fourth lobby.
for
Everyone's so
sure.
close, right? Like everyone just needs to play their best and we'll see what happens. But they can make more intentional and strategic decisions because they have more information. And knowing that, first place is separated by 1 point, but they have a 3 point buffer, I believe, on fourth place means that those three can play this lobby in a specific way based off of that information. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're talking to most people, you either play first or eighth type of style or a top four type of style.
yeah.
Most people I hear in tournament settings want to do first or eighth. So is now the time to do that, Khroen? If you're someone like Gunmay, who can win but is very close.
Yeah, I think if you're Gunmay and you're like well above like the person who might sneak into third over you if you had a really bad placement. If you're like, what is he, 5 points up, I think. Yeah, maybe you can go for a first or eighth style. I wouldn't be too upset about doing that. It's like relatively low stakes, right? If you don't have that pull off, or you don't pull it off rather. But yeah, it's still okay. I personally always will go for a more consistent play style, unless it's like I super need to play first or eighth. But I definitely see the argument for a lot of people doing the other with going first or eighth. In terms of the top three right now, though, we have what Gummy at 21, and then a couple of 20 pointers. So like it's still
Burning.
super up in the air. Like what happens with that? Talking about last week it was so close to everybody. Now it's still really close just with three people, but it's still really intense though. As we get underway here. I know we aren't talking too much about the boards right now because it's still early game. People are shaping up with what they want to start things off with, what items they want to slam.
Mhm.
MrMeeSeeks only got 2 items, slammed to Zeke's, which is really good. Has a Nico for the late game as well, which we usually see that turn into really good power spikes as you reach into late stage 4 and early stage 5.
Zeke's being good is simple, right? Most items, you put it on someone and only they get to use it. Zeke's lock it, you put it on someone and three people or
Yeah.
5 people get to
Chalice
use
as
it.
well.
Exactly. And so you're spreading the love. You can consolidate the stats on somebody, but you're spreading the impact onto a lot of different people. As we have Mama Nidalee versus daughter Nidalee, and looks like age is not going to be an issue today. As our older, bigger Nidalee is going to take that round.
Yeah. Very much so. Going into the carousel here, Gunmay at 84, still an okay amount of HP to have. It's on the low side, but Gunmay gets a 3 cost unit with a belt. Always nice to get a 3 cost unit if it's an item of choice on this carousel, or maybe a fortune if you're going that route as well, like Gangly getting a jinx there. Some people would just take it because it's a jinx and a fortune. We haven't seen too many people play fortune today. We did see one in game number 1, I believe.
Well, we
Um,
had the Brawler Fortune in 2 as well.
oh yeah, we've seen a couple. You're right, for
Yep.
sure.
But only one. There was a week where like everyone was running Fortune,
Yeah.
like a 2 or 3 months ago. But now it definitely seems to be if you kind of like fall into it, if you get that Fortune chosen really early, why not? Especially if it's an Annie that is a very strong unit throughout most of the game, and you can use that Fortune to your advantage, either to accrue gold or items, depending on if you like to win streak or loss streak. Some Fortune players actually like to just win out in the beginning and then transition over and take the risk out,
Mhm.
and that's totally viable way, as we said, to win out on fortune.
Yeah.
We're looking at Warlord right now, just like Cultist. This is one of those. I think it's a test to see how good a player is. How do you utilize all of the stats of Warlord and then make it okay for yourself to say, all right, guys, we're going to add some friends. We're going to take away some friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to transition out of this? Because
Ooh.
Warlord, those extra stats are great in the early game, but you start to max out, you don't get any stronger.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward here for GoFab because usually if you're running a comp like this and you're level 5 already, you want to have some items slammed to try to preserve, even if you're not winning, to preserve HP. But no items have been slammed here, not a single one out of 4 components. Usually, I would say something like a Rage Blade. I think most likely out of these items, maybe a Giant Slayer or something. But we're not seeing anything here. And we are seeing a Nidalee chosen with that Warlord, and she falls off very hard into the mid game. Talking about you're usually going to want a chosen that lasts you until 5-1. Nidalee is not one of those chosens.
Nope, Nidalee lasts to like 3-2.
Yeah, at like best, it feels like a lot of the time. Like,
Yeah, if you have items on her, right?
yeah,
Right? Like if you're able to get her to carry some items, and to put this in a perspective as well, we have a Warlord chosen Nidalee and 1 stack. So that is
yep,
not good. We have a lot of missing stats for that Nidalee, and so that's not going to be that best case into 3-1. Right? We're running
oof.
Warlords, we're losing, which means we're leaving stats on the table, which means we gotta leave Warlords behind, in my opinion. We or we kind of
Go, I'm
just
so tilted right now. I can
you
feel
know,
it.
right?
Sorry, go ahead.
Or we just keep rolling and see what happens. Sometimes you get rewarded for bad behavior, and I think TFT is especially bad about that, especially for me. But you can get rewarded for bad behavior and luck into some really strong comps. We just got a Riven, for example, at level 5.
Yeah, that's solid. No real items for Riven right now, which is okay. Riven is very much a unit that can succeed or even thrive with the leftover components that you get in the late game. Jhin being the primary real carry there. Riven can operate with many items. You
Ooh,
also get a spatula, which could just
with
be
the
a
rod.
dust spat right now. Yeah, the rod, maybe. Oh, and the Nico as well. Okay, 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 okay.
We're in a much better
Um,
spot than we were about 45 seconds ago, I think.
yeah, so the gold is still a bit low. We're at 20, potentially could be 30 if you like sold the Riven, but we of course aren't going to want to do that right now. But still, if we find another Riven, I honestly wouldn't be okay. This is interesting. I'll go into that in a second, but wouldn't be surprised if that's just a Nico slam on the Riven, just to you're in last place if you go Fab right now. Might as well just like do something to get you having a top 4 placement. Just because it feels good at the end of the day. Like you're not getting into the top
Playing
4, I
spoiler.
believe, at all. Yeah, just playing spoiler. So just have a solid game there. Have a consistent game.
Go out on
Um,
something you're proud of.
yeah, definitely. But we do have a commitment to Giant Slayer and a Jeweled Gala right now. No Dusk Spat, and yeah, Riven is. Oh wait,
Gone?
did they put
Got
Riven in?
sold?
Yeah, Riven got sold, so not gonna want to go Dusk at all. Has different plans entirely there. So see if it works out for GoFab though. But yeah, earlier they zoomed in on Lysandra that didn't die from the Nidalee Sphere and just like traced the line of the Nidalee Sphere just like back and forth. And that's like you feel that tilt right there. It's a very tangible tilt.
Ooh, I like that. Tangible tilt. Ooh,
Tangible
that is
tilt.
that's going in the lexicon real quick. All right,
You're
tangible.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yep, stealing that one, or tactically borrowing, as I like to say in the casting.
Tactically borrowing.
Yeah,
True.
tactically borrowing that for later. But yeah, 68 HP versus Stefalador's 58. So that's actually really interesting because Stefalador has had a very I like to say polarizing, but it's very edge case day. Was very good in some lobbies, is on the bottom of other lobbies. And it's actually really interesting to see how much Zed we saw in the first lobby and then none.
Yeah.
from from it then. We actually had a ton of Zed in that first lobby. Not a lot of Katarina. I mean, before we left the year, Katarina was getting quite popular, especially in
True.
the back line. Ninjas were like moderately, coming back. Like you said, Zed was getting a little bit more consistent. But I mean, this is the tried and true. You've got the Kindred with the Jeweled Gauntlet. I think Kindred has the highest base spell damage
Yep.
of definitely of all the hunters, maybe in the game. when it comes to 3-cost units. And you put that Jewel Gauntlet on, that's gonna be a one-shot kill
Yeah.
85 to 90% of the time.
I always reference it, like Kindred, I believe, if my memory serves correct, has 450 base damage on that spell, and yeah, that is a lot, and just slapping a Jewel Gauntlet on there, she's gonna be one-shotting units at this stage of the game. The Giant Slayer as well, actually, a little bit of a bigger number there at the end of the day. Looking over at Allie right here, Allie has a very strong start, actually, looking at the board. I don't know if it necessarily okay, that's actually it's a Chosen Vanguard Thrush, so now I understand. I didn't catch that on my first glance here. With the Cultist as well, it's strong. You get Runeans on the Callista as well, which is a good item on her. It's going to get outscaled if you don't put other items on her and tier her up, but still, right now, solid.
Oh, and this is a really good example of that Kindred power. Both of these Kindreds are tier 1, and I can almost guarantee you they're both gonna top frag. Um,
Yep.
oh, is this
Ooh,
gonna
this one will,
lose?
yeah, we'll lose though, but still, yeah,
Oh,
second place in damage there
yeah,
for that
and so
Kindred. And she had no items, right? And the Callista had an item.
exactly, and that was a top 2, face off. So we actually for a top 2 face off, for that to be the result is actually quite good. Of course, we would have liked to win and continue our win streak, but honestly, if we're gonna lose, that was one of the better ways to do it because we still have a 10-point lead on Gangly, who seem to show up. Are these different pictures? Anyway, who seem to show up.
A
Um,
whole book there,
I
whole
know
scrapbook of
uh,
pictures. It was
a
colorful.
little bit since the first game, so we'll see how long he's able to maintain. Stelfalador having a very hard game so far.
Oh, 46 HP on this carousel? Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that, actually. That is uncharacteristically low, unorthodoxly low for any player, really. Allie building a bramble vest right there. Solid item. Yeah, there's a decent amount of flexible items here. There's the locket, there's the rune ends, which could see play on, let's say, like Warwick, Ash, and Jin, right? Like maybe those are 3 units that would most likely see play with that item, but they're all going to be good with it, and so that's why we see rune ends slammed a lot nowadays. Kardax did it in game 1 with the Yasuo. It was on the Yasuo for the whole game and still won. So yeah, rune ends just solid item right now.
Especially on the Callista. If you guys are curious as to how that works, Callista can only rend one target at a time, but the rend stacks do stay in the secondary target. And so when that rend happens, if it's on the secondary target, it'll still rend, I believe. But it can only do it one at a time. So it's kind of just like a little bit of a fast forward situation. You're not going to be able to rend a couple people at once. You're still going to have to stack it, switch targets, rend again. And that's why Callista is just one of those units that I think people move away from because of the lack of consistency when it comes to where that damage comes from. I mean, it can be absolutely suffocating sometimes, and then
Yeah.
the other times it feels like you're throwing toothpicks. And I think that's the issue with Callista is kind of like your perception of what they do, and you have to have items and tier 3 her, in my opinion, if you're going to win with a Callista comp, and even if it's a tier 3 Callista, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. If it's a Callista comp, it's probably a duelist comp. And what people used to do with Callista, if you're prioritizing that, is actually prioritize RFC there, rapid fire cannon, because when Kindred like is gonna be walking around, she's losing a lot of time autoing, and you just want her in the back, just popping off the whole time, just applying those rend stacks and getting as much value as she can there. And with like Rage Blade Runeans, or not Runeans, Rage Blade RFC, she'll be doing that work. Of course, she didn't have to move there at all, so she did a lot of work in that fight as well. And yeah, we'll actually win the fight because of it. Um, she was third in damage there. TF actually did a lot of work, but still a very good, solid effort in there from the Callisto.
Allie seems to have a very good knack of what is the weakest comp I can play but win,
Yeah, and
right?
maintain
And
my gold and everything. Yeah, no, definitely.
exactly. Like it really feels like we're budgeting just like really well. Like say you're like looking at your finances or something, right? Like Allie's got everything on there.
Oh
I feel like that. Okay, so I can eat out. You can tell I'm in esports tomorrow.
yeah.
Because
Yeah, have some Korean barbecue. The
yeah,
esports
yeah,
logo.
exactly. That's all written down. It feels like for Allie seems to have a very strong understanding of round like meta, if that makes sense. Not
Yeah.
something really speak on a lot, but Allie's comps haven't been overwhelming by any sort of the definition of the world, but
Oh
the
my.
word, but has Now it's overwhelming, but it's 4-1, so, it's a little less impressive, but
I
Allie
mean,
let
yeah,
herself get
that's
here because of that budgeting, because of
yeah.
all those decisions beforehand, and knowing exactly pretty much how to win by, like, 1 unit and not waste resources. Instead, you get to save them, and I think Allie really showed that throughout a lot of today.
Allie is chilling right now. In what was it, 4 rolls funding 3 gens? That's or maybe 3 rolls funding 3 gens actually. I'm not sure, but either way, that was real good. Could have right now even played 4 sharpshooter. I don't think you really needed to run 2 spirit here. The Yumi could not be in there. Either way, it doesn't matter though. The gen's just it's a gen 2 at 4-1, and you still have 40 gold left. And you're level 7.
Yep,
Like
and
92
now
HP.
you
It's
just
yeah,
chill, right? Like, the Jin's gonna
such a good
like, if
spot.
like, if you lose, you're only gonna lose by, like, 1 or 2 units. If you and that's okay, right? Because you're at
Yeah.
48 gold. And so the losses that Allie is going to experience are gonna be small, and if the other side of that is obviously winning, and, you're either gonna be losing by a little or winning that round, and if you're already at 92 HP and a 20, HP advantage, we're actually looking at a very similar situation as that last game as we move over to Stelfalador, who
Yeah.
is no longer in last place. We have a couple wins under the belt. Gunmay is actually the one nosediving into 8th place.
Ah, man, you've
Remember
predicted
what
it
I
once again,
said.
Boop.
Just gonna put it out there.
The point leader going to game number 4 oftentimes gets 8th or 7th.
Yep. I say it every week, and I'm right more often than not, even though I'm kind of just throwing it out there. So, and there
It
is
happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like how I said 3 weeks is hard to top 3, I mean, staying on top of 4 lobbies in a row is tough. That's why we tend to see, like, especially in our longer lobbies, in like our qualifiers where we can get 6 or 7 lobbies, that
Yep.
even the winner will get like a 1 or 2 point lobby, just because it's hard to be that consistent on anything, right? Think
Yep.
about, I've worked out 0 days this year, and that's the most consistent I've been in 2021. So,
Same,
I
me
mean,
too. Me
yeah,
too.
yeah, we're killing it. Let's keep crushing it. Cephalador
We're
needs to
nuts.
also keep crushing it. We've got 6 Elderwood with best in slot items on that Viger. Maybe not Hodge, but the Gunblade and the blue buff definitely.
I think Hodge is pretty good on Vygar as well, actually. I definitely like seeing that one, especially if it rolls damage. Like it's so nuts. The healing still can get value as well. I think so. Thinking about how Gunmay was leading going into this game, the position that Gunmay is in right now, the position that Ali is in, Gunmay could not even get top 3 in this
Mm,
lobby. 2
true.
people were directly behind him with 20 points, and Ali was 5 points behind. If Gunmay goes 8th or 7th and Ali gets like a top 2, top 3, um, yeah, that's just that's a bottom 5 there for Gunmay on the night. That would
Whew.
be absolutely tragic.
Absolutely tragic. And, I can't help but, again, think about the fact that he is under the weather and is just playing chill tunes on stream right now, sit on Twitter. And I think that's another good reminder as we're kind of closing out. If you hover your mouse over the Twitch screen right now, I don't believe you can do this on mobile, but definitely on PC, you'll see everyone's profiles, including the casters and the players. So if you want to follow us, keep up with these up and coming TFT players, feel free to follow us and keep track. But let's get back to this game. I love when our bottom place person, like, we mention it and then they don't lose again, which
Yeah.
has happened for Stelfalador so far, and that's great news for them as we are about a quarter of the way through level 7, and it's just pretty. I think the biggest thing is just how much slower people are playing level 7 in general than throughout the entire lobby and throughout the entire world of TFT set 4 right now. That's definitely the takeaway I think most people should have after watching today. It's patience at level 7 can pay off. Most
Yep.
likely.
Definitely. Pace level 7 if you have the HP to do it and you have the comp to do it, which I mean, we've seen the skills of multiple players here, especially Ali, the ability to recognize how much can I greed out, how much money
Mm-hmm.
can I accrue with also being strong enough to win some rounds or not lose by that much. That's been demonstrated a lot tonight. Cephalosaur, though, gonna be unfortunate running into that other comp because that's a Sejuani 2 or 3 items and a Jin 2 or 3 items. Super strong. That's okay though. If you're Cephalosaur, I think as long as you're saving up enough money to where that you can roll down Find Annie 3 and Lulu 3, like, those are your outs right now, which there are some pretty narrow outs, given that you need 3 more of each of them, and you only have 27 HP to work with. And you're saying on Maokai 1 as well, actually? It's a little iffy, but there is some there are outs, as I was saying.
There's some bright spots.
Yeah.
If you kind of restore it, you might be able to get your money back. But that Viger needs to get those kills. I think 2 ults on that last round were barely kills. And remember that Viger gets permanently stronger every time you're able to execute someone with that ultimate. And this just goes to show that I don't think we have killed a lot of people with that ultimate.
No, it's not looking
So,
like it.
so far, it's not very strong, even with these items. And that's the other thing about Viger that I think is a little bit of a risk. You get him in too late, you're again just depending on other people to get him there, and then to have him cross that bridge takes a while before
Yeah.
you're hitting that 1200 damage. And Viger 3 is definitely going to help with that. But Stelfalador at 16 HP is going to be in 8th place. The only person on fire right now is Infernix. And in terms of what kind of lobbies are we going to see? Are we going to see something like the first lobby with duelists, or something closer to our last lobby, which was very slow and 7-1? I think it's going to be the latter, because it doesn't,
Yeah.
again, it doesn't look like anybody has an overwhelmingly strong comp right now, which means everyone is still accessing the same amount of power in their shops.
Yeah, I think, from what we have seen, the strongest look like Infernix with that Sedge 2 and the Jin 2, and yeah, that's a strong thing, but yeah, it's more of the latter in terms of, it gets you to the late game, you are legendary as opposed to, say, like, a centered around something else, some, like, early unit like a Zed or a, duelist like Yasuo or
Hello.
something. Okay, Lulu has found its way here magically to being tier 3. We need 2 more Annies, and now 4 more
Hey,
Vigars. Maokai has been leveled up. That's great.
hit the
Another
22.
opportunity for a locket. Yeah. The Annie's still a bit of far away though.
Yeah, Annie 3 is amazing. If you don't have a chosen Annie, I think you got to get that Annie 3 with that mage buff. One of the best tanks in the entire game. As you saw, a Z3 against an Annie 2 a little earlier today, that Annie just literally flicked the Z off and was A-OK. This is Viger's favorite type of comp to go against, by the way,
Yeah,
which is a lot of skinny units or squishier units. That's going to give you a little bit of a power increase. I believe that was at least 3 or 4. So that's going to be 8 extra AP, and that's all going to scale with those items. So
yeah,
it's not just 8, it's 8 plus the percentages of those items. And definitely keep that into consideration when you're trying to check your power level of your Viger.
definitely. One more Annie needed. I think the Vigar has also gotten unlucky in terms of rolling healing the last like 5 rounds with Hodge. It did roll damage there, which is going to make it easier to get those kills and accrue those stacks to make you more
Mhm.
powerful. So fortunately enough, hopefully it's not too late. Oh, Stelfalador found Annie 3 as well.
All right. So,
So yeah, the narrow win condition has been realized. The bare minimum has been realized. Hopefully it'll be enough though, which honestly it might not be, but we'll see.
yep. I think in front of our eyes, we're actually witnessing the power levels starting to consolidate around a couple different players. It's only been a couple rounds since I said that last thing, but in the late game, that sometimes is all it takes. It's
Oof.
a couple 5-cost units to appear, as Gunmay is no longer going to be on fire. Gofab is going to have another 8th place. Definitely had a little bit of a rough day today. Gunmay, this is very important. This
Yeah.
round might be the difference between top 3 and top 5.
Yep.
And
Playing
this
for a 5th right now is, like, what Gummy, like, honestly should be thinking of.
exactly. I totally agree. So we have to win pretty much just the next 2 rounds, right? And we're probably there. And we have to make sure, in my opinion, that we're as strong as possible at 8 HP. And we're going to stay at 40 gold. We're still feeling pretty confident about our team.
Yeah. I mean, looking at Gumme's board here, I guess there's not too much that spending would do right now. Like, yeah, maybe you can roll I don't know, like Ash 2 or something, or level up and put in 1 extra unit. But Gumme is playing it a bit greedily here, wanting to play for the round win here to be stronger, or have more gold to be stronger with the next round, but
Make
not
it.
gonna happen. Gunmay going out maybe in 6th there. Yeah, okay.
Woo!
In 6th. Gangly gets eliminated in 7th there. unfortunately for Gangly had a bit of a roller coastery night in terms of placements there.
Maybe you should have stuck with Zed. There are a lot
Yeah,
of. I, if you're a new player, I think there's a really good argument to have of playing the same comp 4 games in a row, no matter what, just being a mono player. When you're here, just so you can take some of the intangibles out, right? You know that you're doing this, and so you can work everything around that. And maybe I think Gangly trying to do too many things at once might have been a little bit of their downfall, a little option paralysis for sure. We did get in our head a little bit in that second game as
yeah,
well. But Allie's on fire. This is exactly what Allie needs to do in order to get into that top 3. One of the hurdles has fallen, and that's Gunmay. And so Allie has taken a really good, advantageous position now to finish in at that top 3. Now Allie can control their own destiny, which is finishing in the top 2 to confirm that top 3 spot. And Fernix will most likely make it there based on the point total.
yeah.
MrMeeSeeks is all right. Last Kardax is who we're looking at right now will most likely make it as well. So in my opinion, this is all about that 3rd place spot and where Allie is going to finish at the end of this game. It doesn't get any better than this,
Yeah.
honestly, in terms of how Allie needs to play. All eyes are on her.
I'm pretty sure actually with Gunmay getting 6th, Allie needs to place first to place above Gunmay, because a second would mean their points are tied, and Gunmay would win the tiebreaker because he has won a game.
All right. Well, we'll see at the end of the game. I don't think Gunmay has been eliminated from the top 3 by any means. We definitely need to see how the rest of the lobby goes, especially since Ali did lose that last round. And Gunmay's in the chat said he didn't even get a chosen for
Oh,
that
really?
last game. Yeah, get 8 HP, 40 gold, no chosen. At 5-3 or
Oh,
5-2.
no.
That's just a rough everything. I feel for that.
Yeah.
That just sucks. But we're still on some brink of eliminations right now. Will Stelfalador be able to continue holding on, or will they fall? Will Allie be able to do the same thing? So far, so good. There is that Jhin in the back line that can really change everything. It's
Oh,
Jhin
fourth
versus
shot.
Jhin one more time, and the
Ooh.
Bloodthirster is not going to be enough, as the chosen Jhin is going to take that win. And Fernix feeling pretty good about that, as we have our top 4.
Yep. Falador going out in 5th. We have our top 4, MrMeeSeeks, Infernix, Last Kardax, and Allie. Now, Last Kardax and Infernix were both of the players at 20 points going into this round. Looking likely, if not guaranteed, that one of those two will be winning here for tonight. But we will see which one. It's getting real intense here as we get into soon in stage 6 here. Allie has the Azir 2, has the Jin 2 as well. Not a lot of synergies on the left-hand side there. I think Allie is just saving up to go level 9, gonna sell the Kindred at that point, because it's just a Spirit Chosen Kindred, that's kind of whatever. But then finding a legendary chosen, that's what's going to be the difference between Allie winning the game or just going out in like 2nd or 3rd or something.
And
Needs to
Allie
get to
can,
that point and has 1 or 2 lives to spare with
yeah, I was
being at
about to
45
say.
HP, yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean 1, 2, and if you're feeling really greedy, Hi,
Yeah, I
Philadelphia.
mean, that word works too.
Yeah, I know, right? Then maybe 3, but definitely 2. And if you win 1, right, that's just again a win more situation. If this chosen kindred is going to be able to last, we do have a Moonman comp on the
Oh,
other
yeah.
side. Nice items too. That Giant Slayer Last Whisper is going to be causing a lot of damage once those Hunter procs do go, as the Jhin is going to fall immediately. The Azir ult trying to slow things down, but this Moonman is going to be getting some cheese. Get it? Because then they get out of cheese, as Ali will fall, and Fernix will as well. So Chosen Jhin not enough for Infernix. Will Ali be able to finish in that top 3? We will find out soon.
I like how you said get it and then immediately explained it, but like 2 seconds after, not even a second after.
You know what? Okay, so my mom. I'll tell you
Oh,
later.
it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you later.
It's just
That
funny.
is not the first time
Alright.
I've heard that. I'm also a
Um,
tell someone that's funny instead of laughing person sometimes. Am I awful? Am I? Just kidding.
no,
Um,
no, no, no.
but
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, Khroen.
Allie did roll the 9, but does not have that much gold to roll it with at all. On the first roll, did find a chosen Vanguard Aatrox, which is okay. It does give 3 cultists, 4 Dusk is achieved as well. So the composition actually is kind of rounded out decently well right now. Last Kardax is kind of greeting as well right now. It's level 9, but 40 gold. Probably needs to spend some of that because they are a bit too weak to face up against Allie's composition here, as we have our top 3 actually, and Fernix is going to be going out. Maybe that confirms Last
Left
Kardax
Kardax
as the
in first
victor
place.
once again, actually.
Hey, last victor of 2020 and first victor of
Wow.
2021 will be the only person ever to be able to say that. Um, Also, we were the last people to cast in 2020 and the first people to cast in 2021, and we're not the only people that can say that. Allie is feeling good, especially if you're able to beat Last Kardax, but knowing that Last Kardax had 40 gold there means the next time we see them, it is not going to be the same Last Kardax, as we're going to be going to Moonman, which destroyed Allie the last time we saw it. So are we getting a rock, paper, scissors situation? It looks like it, as we are getting into the ultra late game at 6-3, this next carousel, and what items people are going to get for their carries is they're
Yeah.
running out of room is going to probably help determine who wins out here in the end.
While Allie's Jin is strong, it's the items aren't quite good enough to be able to win this game, in my opinion. Maybe Allie can get second here, but I think that's probably pretty capped here for
Hmm.
placements. I like getting the Yone with a D claw there. Um, hmm. Yeah, there's like not too much more you can do with this composition. However, like the Moon
Yeah.
Man's just gonna win the game. Moon Man's very, very, very strong here. Hit everything. Had decent HP. Is on a win streak now. Like it's looking pretty good for Mr. Meeseeks. Yeah,
And
I
with
think I
the
think this is the correct decision from Ali here. You have to sell that chosen and go for something else random, and it's going to be Ezreal. Kind of sucks because you don't have Elderwood with it, but even still, Jew Gauntlet and Chalice Ezreal, that could be the difference.
It's, I mean, it's good items. I'm actually just gonna carry Ezreal at this
Yeah.
point in time. I don't know about keeping the Jin in the corner. The 100 is
Yeah.
probably gonna hit him anyway. But that Moon Man has taken down this Jin. This is the third, I believe, round in a row that, or second round in a row, we're gonna see the Moon Man. The Yone ult not as good this time around. So I think Ali has a little bit of extra time to get this Jin to target that Aphelios in at the back line, but it still doesn't look like it is going to happen. And even with a great True Shot
Mm.
barrage, that Ezreal still not going to be doing enough to take down the Moon Man. Is Ali going to survive? Yes, with
Oh, that
one
last unit
HP
is your
and a
kill right
Guardian.
there? Yeah. Last Kardex barely wins as well, so everyone actually still hanging on. We might go into stage 7 once again, though. But if Ali faces up against Last Kardex, I think that's a very winnable matchup. So Ali could very well get second here.
Won the last one, but
Yep.
Kardax did have 40 gold. So that's the biggest difference there, and Ali has 4. And an opportunity to pick up a second. Oh, we already have our Azir too. So we're,
Yep.
again, like you said, we're pretty capped. We got to get our Riven, we got to get our Lilia, but our front line is done. Our
Yeah.
carries are done. And we'll see if that's going to be enough to sneak into a second place.
Ah,
All we need to do is beat Last Kardax. So this is
yeah.
the battle for second right in front of our eyes.
Oh, Ezreal's gonna get Trap Clawed here? Probably. Yeah, it does actually. Is that gonna be okay enough though? The Jin's still alive for Ali, and the Ashe in the corner is alive and healing up right now. Jin Force Shot not making its way there, but it still looks like Ali's gonna be okay here.
It does look like Ali is gonna be okay as the units
Yeah.
calmly take down Last Kardax, and that's a second place. I don't think she beats Moonman, based on it seems
No.
like Moonman straight up counters Ali's comp at this point. With a Morello's, at least we get some Grievous. Who are you gonna put it on? Azir. You can put it on Cass, Riven. You got some options, but that's just kind of like for a round, as this Moon Man is looking unbeatable right now.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, like, what more can you ask for in that composition, right? Looking at what Mr. Meeseeks has on the board, it's so strong. Not only are you able to get Moonman aligned, but able to push levels after that as well. It's just so good. And maybe if Ali had a bit more time to like hit some more upgraded units like the Riven 2, maybe Lilia 2, Zillion 2, things like that. Zillion 2 actually would be like huge, and it's still possible that. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. Sell the Azir. Okay, I mean Yone as well. It doesn't really matter. You have one more roll to hit the Lilia 2, perhaps. Should take that roll.
There was another Lilia
Okay.
2 already. Oh, there
There we
might
go.
be 2 Lilia 2.
You
That's like
can't. Yeah.
yeah, that's the worst. Oh,
You
so we're gonna
lose
actually go
4
in with this
Dusk,
unit.
but
You
I
know
guess
what?
that's okay.
I like it. And
Honestly, it's correct. It's correct. It's correct.
yeah. I totally agree, and I don't think a lot of people actually make that decision in the last minute. That's a toughie, to be
Yeah.
completely honest with you. It's not going to matter, but I do think the the decision is the correct one.
Well, I like
Ah,
wanted it to matter, but no,
I know
it's
you
still
want to
it's
reward someone for that kind of play, but
yeah.
Allie is going to get second. Another super clean game from her.
Yeah.
Did not start that way. That cultist game in lobby 2 was a rough, but we got here, and Allie, I think, is either going to be tied with Gunmay or might be 1 point ahead.
Yeah.
So once we get those scores, we will find out if who our top 3 will be.
I'm pretty sure she's tied and loses the tiebreaker, which is so sad given how well she played the last 2 games. But yeah, either way, last Kardax will be pretty sure. Yeah, we'll be the victor for tonight. The last victor in 2020 and the first victor in 2021. I'm excited for this interview that we're gonna have because that energy, I hope it's like just like the same.
Yep.
Because that was real entertaining.
Put your children away real quick. Kardax and not a lot of filter. Anyway, we do have 27 points for Kardax and Fernix at 26. Gunmay and Allie are both tied, but since Gunmay won
Oh, Mr.
that
Meeseeks as well, actually. Wait.
wait,
Wait,
okay.
wait.
Hold on.
1
Hold
second.
on.
'Cause
Sorry,
now
Mr.
I didn't even
Meeseeks.
know. Okay, now Gunmay and Mr. Meeseeks are tied, and they both have a win. So that's as far as I'm willing to estimate on my tiebreakers who has more wins. We gotta get some confirmation on who wins between the 2 of those
I'm
because
not
I
gonna say
don't
anything
know.
either.
Yeah.
This is one of those true like we're going through it's not just the first tiebreaker or the second
Yeah.
tiebreaker
We
right
gotta
now.
go to the second
Yeah,
tiebreaker. We gotta go to production, go to the back,
yeah, we got to
go
go to the
behind the
third and
scenes.
fourth tiebreaker. But we do know that Kardax did win for a second year in a row. And this is going to be great. So we're going to get him into this call soon. And we're going to get that interview going. Dude is a riot. So I'm very excited for this interview. Like someone that I know I would get along with in real life. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
slam a couple beers or something. Hopefully
Yeah.
they're 21 or of age in their country to do that.
Yeah, can't say
But
tequila because you're banned from that, but,
yep,
other
banned from
beverages.
that from most people in my life. Um, unless you want to see me cry or get into a fight. But I think
Oh,
that's a
man.
common story. But yeah, Kardax is I see him get into the call, and once we hear his voice, we'll get that interview going. Anyone in the chat, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in, and we might be able to get to them during the interview. But you gotta get them in quick. And yeah, I still don't know if Gunmay, Allie, or Mr. Meese. I'm pretty sure Allie is going to get eliminated. Honestly, was probably one of the better players in the last 2 lobbies.
Yeah.
Maybe even the best in terms of gameplay, and that just hurts. But we are going to talk to Last Kardax. We're definitely going to be asking PBE questions as well.
Yeah, Last Kardax, are you here?
Nom. My app.
Oh, I hear the nom nom.
I can't hear them.
Can't hear us though. Unfortunately. Try to get those.
Hey, can you?
Hey,
hello?
how's it going?
There we go.
Welcome back.
Khroen and Boop, we meet again.
We meet again in 2020. Let's recap. You came in here and you won one of the closest Fight Night Risings that we had ever seen. We come back.
True.
2021. 3-way tie behind you. Another super close one, but you come out on top again. And what do you owe the 2 first places to? Is it more? What is it about your gameplay that you think brought you?
Listen, I'm the back-to-back champion. It is what it is. 2-time coming in hot. Okay. I'm gonna be real. On the first couple of games, there was a little bit of baby rage in the chat. I'm gonna be real. All right. That shit inspired me. I was like, all right, there's baby ragers in this lobby. I'm about to fucking mow these guys down. And then I just, I just play it to the best of my ability. It is what it is. I'm gonna be real. I've been playing on PBE for the last like 24 hours. I haven't touched this set. Honestly, PBE kind of rocking. Shout out to Mordog. Yo, that set is amazing. I'm gonna be real.
What's your favorite part?
Oh, dude, I love all the new units. I'm gonna be real. All the new units are fun as hell, dude. I'm glad Samira is here. Samira is amazing, dude. Just go 9, play Sammy. Fuck it, dude. I love that shit. That shit's awesome. But yeah, speaking of today's games, I didn't even know I was first until I just popped open Giant Slayer TV stream, and you were like, "Okay, Kardax is first," and I'm like, "Wait, it's me!" Oh, that feels good. Feels good, man.
No, it was super close. Like after game 3, it was Gunmay at 21 points, and you and Phoenix were at 20. So super tight race. But yeah, no, you clutched it out there. Gunmay had a bit of poor placement that game, and no, played super well. I mean, you've been playing on PBE for a while now, but still we got a little bit more of live servers for this set 4. So
True.
Going back to talking about that for a second, like what did you did you come into today like having any focus like what you're playing and stuff? Because I know you had a specific style, during the during 2020 when we saw you last a few weeks ago, but did that change at all? Kind of what's your approach to this meta right now?
Khroen, I'm gonna be real with you. Honestly, I just first or eighth every game. You already know who it is.
True.
I went in on my first game. I don't know if you were scouting me or looking. I got a chosen duelist Yasuo in shop. I was like, all right, boys, we're about to run it down, play some fucking duelists, and call it a day. I mean, I feel like this patch hasn't changed much. It's just like it's not really shifted the meta much. It's still we're playing the same things, but I think it was a really good balance to like Teemo and Lulu because those two units were really dominating the early game. So now you're starting to see like more variety. Like even a Yasuo 3 can win, or Yasuo 2 can win the early game now, which is really refreshing to see, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to commit to the duelist route there, because you got the Shin Shao off of the box as well, which kind of led you in that direction. But Runan's a good item for Yasuo, also good item for many other carries as well, like Ashe, Warwick, Jhin, etc. So I was curious if you were going to hold out with that. And you had a few different power spikes during that lobby, right? When you first hit Yasuo 3, you're very strong. When you hit Shin Shao with 3 items, and then when you hit the Yone, were you able to pull off that lobby because of would you say it's high roll, or would you say it's more like calculated, you knowing you have enough HP to reach each one of those power spikes?
Bro, dude, I high rolled out the wazoo, dude. What are you talking about, Khroen? You're trolling, dude. I hit a Yone and Lee Sin in the same shop at 8. You're telling me that was calculated? That shit was a war, dude. I don't know. Listen. I was like, all right, dude. If I don't hit this Lee Sin and Yone, we're 8th. So I just prayed, and I got blessings from Mordog. He was watching down on me, and we got that shit going. You already know.
Scouted your board, saw the Yasuo 3. I'm like, all right, maybe he's chilling. Check back with you later. You just had all the stuff, so I was like, all right, dope. I mean,
yeah, I know, right? As casters, the caster curse in TFT is that when we watch you, it doesn't go well, and the second we leave, you start doing better. That actually happened to you perfectly. When we were first watching in that first game, you were on like a 3 or 4 game losing streak. We switched off of you. You hit Yasuo 3 and then won. And so welcome.
That's the same thing with the Fortune C. You got to pay attention, boys. You got to look at Kardax. That Fortune game, dude, that brings back so many good memories. That felt good.
Oh man! Oh, because you had that sick Fortune cash out.
It was like 50 gold cash out and a Zir. I was like feeling myself
like that. Yeah, that was sick. But let's go ahead and talk about the future a little bit. Fight Night Rising is definitely a jumping off point for a lot of people. I think you're a great content creator. I think you're a great streamer. What's kind of next for you in terms of the competitive aspect? Are you looking for any further opportunities there, or are you kind of just chilling right now?
All right, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Next set is it. I'm like rank 1 EU West. It's over. Dude, I'm mowing down these EUs. I come to NA, I mow down the NAs. I'm gonna go back to EU now, and I'm gonna mow down the EUs. It is what it is, dude. Dude, PB is so fun. I have nonstop. I have not slept. I'm literally up on coffee right now, dude. I'm literally just grinding games.
Yeah, no, Definitely. No, PB is super fun. You gave, shouts to Mort Dog earlier. I like to extend those
True.
shouts to Mort Dog and the rest of the development team as well. Like, TFT, wonderful game, wonderful community. So yeah, once again, congratulations, Kardax. You played phenomenally. We're gonna see you again next week, and hopefully for some, set 4.5 as well. You said it's your set. I want to see it come to fruition, man.
Oh, it's coming, baby. Y'all already know, Khroen. Y'all already know.
All right, let's see it. Let's see it happen. I'd love for it to happen, man. Talking to you has been the highlight of my week so far. This is
Yo, that's what it is. Yo, you're the highlight of my week too, man. It is what it
Here
is.
we go.
Thank
That's
you.
love all around.
Oh man. All right. Congrats again, Kardax, and yeah, we'll see you
Thank you
next
very
week.
much. Appreciate it, boys. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, before you go, any shout outs? Where can we find you on, Twitch, Twitter, and the likes?
Yo, you can find me on Twitter, Last Kardax. My Twitter be popping lately. I'm posting hella memes. More Dog retweeted my memes. It's feeling good, man. He loves my memes. I'm gonna be real. Also, shout out to Alex Sam. All right, shout out to my boys in the chat telling me not to go Yasuo. Fuck you guys. Shout out to my boys in the chat. I'm gonna be real. Shout out to a couple of people baby raging in the lobby, making me try hard. I'm gonna be real. And yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
Name any names? Throw anyone under the bus, or you keep?
No, I'm not dropping. I'm gonna keep it
100.
100. I'm not trying to drop no names. They know who they is, and they watching right now. They fuming. They're holding their fists like that one meme, Arnold meme. He's holding his fist and he's mad. It is what it is, dude.
Oh, all right, wonderful. All right, I'm expecting some good memes, Kardax. Dropping you the follow.
Yeah.
I hope to see some greatness.
Yo, you're a legend, Khroen. I appreciate you, Boop. Thank you. You're a legend as well. I appreciate you, boys. Thank you so much for this amazing interview. You guys are awesome.
You are too, man. Have a great night.
All right, thanks, boys.
What can I say?
I want to just have him all the time, like around. Like I'm happy, like now, and like.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a great mood. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I'm the kind of person like I'll match someone else. Maybe not match someone else's energy, but like it definitely gets me like more energized when there's energy like that coming through. I'm just like, now I want to go play some TFT, play some.
I want to play some PvE,
some Euro. Like
yeah, exactly, man. That was like, geez, the cup of coffee. That's awesome. You see us right now. Anyway, that was fun. I. In esports, you do not get interviews like that every day, and it is so great to kind of see someone's true personality come out and it be so legitimately great and funny, and it's so gamer and like, oh, it was so
energy.
It's so awesome. Love the energy. Love that energy. Love that. That's passion. You can teach skills. You cannot teach passion. And what we just saw there was passion, and that's always good to see.
Of course, I'm gonna be real, Boop. I had a wonderful time tonight, especially the interview with Kardax to end things off there.
Yeah, a lot of good games.
No, definitely. But no, it's been a lot of fun. I think we saw a lot of cool stuff when it comes to meta as well. Before we get like too far off topic, but I'm excited to see what people bring forward into the future. As we I think we won't have next week being on set 4.5. We will have the one after being on 4.5. Looking forward to that as well. Last time. For a reminder, this channel will be going from GiantSlayer TV to GiantSlayer TFT. So if you're tuning in next week or for the Teamfight Talk Show New Year special, it's going to be GiantSlayer TFT. And that will be on Wednesday the 13th at 6 p.m. PST for that talk show. So be sure to check that out. Any closing thoughts, Boop, before we sign off here?
If you guys are curious as to see when the new PvE set is going to go on to live, you can always go, or any patches, you can always go to Mort's Twitter and it'll tell you exactly which day they expect that to go live. It will be patch 11.2, so I do believe that's going to be in 2 weeks. And we're going to be here, and we'll most likely be the first thing in terms of competitive TFT when it comes to that set, which is going to be awesome. We've got Fabled, we've got a lot of new units like Nasus with Wither, and it's just a really cool situations that we don't currently get, but we still have one more week, and we can kind of hype this up as the set 4 kind of championship. We have the top 3 coming back, and we'll see who else is here, but that's going to be the last time we ever play on set 4, and it's going to be hopefully full of pageantry and full of great games as well, and y'all don't want to miss it.
Definitely. Well, that'll do it for us here tonight. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to drop a follow to the channel so you make sure to find it for when that rebranding comes through. But that will do it for us here on Fight Night Rising. We will see you next week. Have a good night.